Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there. State pension fury. As rumours grow, the triple lock could be axed.
As the government's attention turns to housing with a £2 billion investment.
All that with just one day to go until the spring statement.
Trump's top team takes the swipe at Europe, dubbing them freeloaders in leaked WhatsApp messages.
Record numbers of small boat arrivals have people asking if Labour will ever smash the gangs.
Time to act. The Conservatives renew their campaign for a national inquiry into the rape gangs.
More money is set to be ploughed into protecting Britain's farms as thefts grow.
Dipping your toe into the dating pool after 50 can be tricky in the digital age, so we're asking, is it ever too late to find love?
And what went wrong for Blue Peter? The BBC has axed live episodes as the programme moves online after 66 years. One of the show's former presenters, Tim Vincent, will be talking to us about it.
And in sport this morning, it's Thomas, 2 wins, Tuchel from 2 games. And although England beat Latvia 3-0 It was rather underwhelming, but a win's a win. It's Wales' turn tonight. They're in North Macedonia, hoping to continue Craig Bellamy's unbeaten run as manager. And guess what? Emma Raducanu's on her best run since winning the US Open.
Whilst it is going to turn quite cloudy with a bit of rain for quite a few of us through today, there's more spring sunshine on offer as we go through tomorrow. I'll have the details coming up.
Just after 6 o'clock, a very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
And nice to see you back, Miss Ellie, or maybe nice to see me back, I'm not sure, but...
I'm very happy to be back.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah, somebody messaged me yesterday, like, have you left GB News? No, I haven't.
Well, you're off for a couple of days.
I was literally off, Friday and Monday.
Right, well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
2 days last week.
Oh, yeah, no, I was off last week.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, yeah. And then I can understand maybe why you thought I had left. But no, I took some well-earned annual leave.
I'm concerned, I'm worried, I just want to share it with you.
Oh, go on.
I'm getting some hate, I'm getting some fury.
Why?
And as friends, I just think I could just, let you know and see what you think about the whole thing.
Yeah, go on.
The admission that I made yesterday about my sister buying me a Blue Peter badge, the fact that it's a bought Blue Peter badge, that it's not actually earned.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of hate over this. I don't really know what to do.
People work hard for their Blue Peter badges.
I know, and I know it, and it cost quite a bit, and maybe the fact that it wasn't earned, that it was bought.
Should people buy things like George Crosses and whatever?
Do they?
Yes, of course they do, yeah.
So the thing is, it's not like I'm going around saying, oh, yeah, I got this. It's like the guy with the George Cross saying, oh, yeah, well, I got this fighting and everything, and it's all fake, It's just that I'm still getting a lot of heat, and I don't really know what to do about it.
Well, I think admitting it is the first thing.
Don't admit that you bought it.
Well, it's a bit late now, Eamonn. That's the whole problem. This is the whole problem I've got in the first place.
He's done it now on national television.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very sad about Blue Peter.
Yeah, me too.
I loved Blue Peter. It was one of the 2 programmes I was allowed to watch as a child.
It's still there. Still there.
I know, but it's online. It's not live anymore.
You don't say that about... Look at all these programmes that are streamed. I mean, you say, oh, and it's streaming on Netflix or whatever. People don't go, oh...
True.
On Netflix. So it's the new way of doing things.
I know it's the new way of doing things, but... it was the best.
You're never going to get the elephant
be.
again, though, are you? You're never going to get the Peter Purvis and John Noakes slipping in the elephant dung, which is one of the greatest moments ever. Are we allowed to play that? I bet we're not allowed to play that. It's just the greatest thing.
It's been going for over 60 years, hasn't it, Blue Peter?
Yep.
Incredible.
Well, all that and more throughout the programme this morning. We hope we have the pleasure of your company. Economics leading the news today, and the Bank of England has said both pensioners and Donald Trump's tariff war will be barriers to growth in the country.
Well, this comes ahead of the spring statement where the Chancellor is expected to make £15 billion worth of cuts from public spending.
Rachel Reeves will announce £2 billion funding for social housing in a bid to appease Labour backbenchers angered by those cuts. Does that mean we're heading for a period of austerity? With us now, former Conservative Special Advisor Lauren McKevitt. Lauren, yes, I think it will lead to huge anger personally, because we can talk about investment in housing, but then we hear yesterday the Treasury or whatever saying, oh, thank goodness we're getting all this extra housing because this will help house the migrants.
Yeah, that possibly wasn't the wisest course of action for a communications plan on their part, if we're being honest. It does seem that they're going to have a problem with migrant housing in relation to the numbers of new houses that are going to come online versus the number of migrants that are going to need to be housed, which is going to be a problem that Keir Starmer's going to have to deal with several times over the next couple of years, I would imagine. But there's an awful lot in what's being briefed about the spring statement tomorrow that's going to make Labour members very uncomfortable, largely because Keir Starmer would appear to be one of sort of the mid-ranking Conservative prime ministers we've ever had in the actions that they're taking on welfare cuts, on personal independence payment changes, on altering how special needs are funded in the education system and pushing more children into mainstream schools. There's an awful lot in here that Labour backbenchers are going to be quite unhappy about. which usually means that there'll be a rabbit out of the hat that's some red meat to them. And that's probably where Andrew Bailey, the Governor of the Bank of England, is concerned, because it's that red meat that's really going to smack our competitiveness once again. This Labour government are causing us to move into a period of what looks very much like stagnation. And they are going to be a hamper on innovation and startups, which have been one of the major success stories in the United Kingdom over the last 15 years. Changes to how, or potential changes at this point to how pensions are operated in this country, changes to national insurance contributions, changes to business costs. All of these will hamper innovation and investment into research and development within the United Kingdom, all of which will hamper the startup capability of this country, which is something that the Prime Minister is going to have to take on the chin if he continues down this particular route. There is going to be announcements, apparently, on housing, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to deal with the number of people coming into the country to begin with. So Keir Starmer has a pickle with the electorate. He's got a pickle with his own backbenchers. And he's not really, I think, going to be making anybody happy.
No, he's not going to win on those fronts. I mean, there's a number of things that won't change. One is the migrants, the other is potholes. Well,
I find the pothole pivot fascinating because it took John Major until he was about to lose an election to create the cones hotline. Do you remember? Usually it's at the very bottom of the dip that a Prime Minister reaches for the potholes and the cones and the kind of the civic infrastructure annoyances that are one of the major bugbears in the United Kingdom of everybody's engagement with the state, how your bins are collected, whether or not your potholes are being fixed. And, from a local government standpoint, there is a real problem in this country with how local government works and whether or not money that goes to them from central government is actually spent.
And the things that tend to be picked upon, if I was putting cuts into local government, I'd be doing it on little social projects that are going to affect just relatively few people and whatever. I wouldn't hit the bins.
I wouldn't even do that, actually. I would argue that all the conversations that the government have been having over slimming the civil service and encouraging, through payments, people who are underperforming to leave, I would argue that actually that needs to happen much more in local government, where you get, in my experience of, coming from a part of the country where it's sometimes problematic to get delivery going from the council workers' point of view, I'd say that we need to overhaul how we do local government organisation. I think we should be talking about professionalising councillors. I think running a twin devolution system of local government and metro mayors is probably a waste of money. And I think that we need to be having very serious conversations about how we are capitalising civil service expenditure in local government.
Can I ask you about this US group chat debacle that's occurred? So this is Trump's top team, so Pete Hegseth and JD Vance and the like, a group chat where they're discussing striking the Houthis, and they've accidentally included a journalist in this WhatsApp group chat. What happened here?
This is, I believe, the editor of The Atlantic, who was brought into what's interesting is a Signal group chat. And the importance of it being a Signal is that Signal is a tech that I think auto-deletes. So they are
encrypted, isn't it?
They are specifically attempting to circumvent the transparency rules that exist within the US government, which can't cover something that auto-deletes after a set period of time. And they've included a journalist in a group chat where they were actively discussing areas that they were going to bomb. I think that the journalist in question has been quite restrained, actually, in what he's released from this chat. He said that he was in it, and he's said some of the highlights, but I think that there was a lot of detail in there that, for national security reasons, he actually had better savviness about than the people who put him in the WhatsApp chat, or the Signal chat to begin with. But one of the big things that is an annoyance here, and I think will be a big annoyance in Europe, is this European freeloaders line that JD Vance has been pushing. His wife, obviously, in Greenland this week, where the United States are making moves again on Greenland. Denmark is the only country within Europe that really had the same per capita death toll in the American Middle Eastern wars of the last 20 years. So I think that the Vice President should be asking some serious questions about whether or not they ever said thank you to the countries in Europe who ploughed in, including Ukraine, by the way, who ploughed into Afghanistan and Iraq in support of what was fundamentally their war. And I think that but there's no shame in the Trump White House, and they aren't ever going to think that. So instead we get being accused of European freeloaders having sent more than our fair share to support them in the Middle East in the last 20 years.
OK. Lauren, thank you very much indeed. Hold those thoughts and we'll come back and talk to you again after 7 o'clock today. Have your say with anything that Lauren has had to say.
Now, time is running out on your chance to spruce up your spring and grab designer watches, a designer handbag and £17,777 in tax-free cash. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck.
Now, let's get the weather update with Alex Burkle.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have 3 zones of weather at the moment. There's a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far north-northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, there's that old saying, you're never alone with a microphone, and J.D. Vance found that hosting a cabinet meeting in Washington yesterday and letting rip and giving his opinions about everything from Europe, saying they were pathetic freeloaders, and all of this has now been leaked and has got to the ears of Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Mr. Freddie Gray, who will give you more information than I have. It's a fascinating insight, isn't it?
Well, we've had several fascinating insights into the Trump administration recently, and this text message story, this Signal message story, is, I think, you know the comedy Veep? Have you ever watched Veep?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the scriptwriters of that probably wouldn't have included this as a plot line because it's too unbelievable. that Tim Walz, the National Security Advisor, an extremely important role in the American government, that he accidentally added a journalist, but not just any journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a famous Trump hater. He edits the Atlantic magazine. It's a bit like, maybe the Reform Party in power adding the Guardian editor to its sort of WhatsApp group. So it's completely mind-boggling at a number of levels. And I think the Europe element is very interesting, and it ties into what J.D. Vance was heard saying yesterday, is that they are discussing, these top-level American officials are discussing the Houthi strikes, and Vance says, what concerns me about this is we're bailing out the Europeans again. And all of them agree, and they say, oh, it's awful that we're bailing out the Europeans again, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway. And then you have these ridiculous emojis, and I don't want to get too pompous about it, but I think it is a bit disgusting after you've just ordered a strike that kills 53 people to do, like, fist sign emoji, flame emoji. It sort of reminds you that the people in charge are really not very serious at all. But back to the European point, I think what's going on here is fascinating, because clearly there's a lot of anger about the way Europe has behaved over Ukraine, the way Britain, too, has behaved over Ukraine within the US administration. And that is reflecting itself in everything else. And another interesting aspect of it is that actually America's very willing to work with and to assist Israel, which is really what the Houthi strikes are about, or certainly in isolating Iran and helping its Middle Eastern allies. But at the same time, they want to say, we're having to do Europe's heavy lifting for it. I'm not sure that's the case.
No. What about this security angle? I mean, should these sensitive government conversations be taking place on Signal anyway?
When a government minister's going to learn that WhatsApp groups, even if it's Signal, which I think people switched to Signal because it was thought to be more secure. I certainly have sources on Signal who only use Signal, but I always think the only guarantee that people have that it's secure is this idea that I think it's owned by a Swiss company, not Facebook. And so the encrypted messages are more secure than they would be on WhatsApp. But no, it's just hilarious. The government people can't stop themselves from texting, even when it's about really, really sensitive stuff that involves bombs, missiles and killing people.
What about Elon Musk? He comes in for a lot of flack as well from J.D. Vance.
Yes, well, that is another fascinating dynamic within the administration. And I think it boils down to this story about visas a while ago. Musk's opinion is that America needs to import as much talent as it can in order to grow in the future. So he's very pro what they call elite human capital, importing elite human capital. And so he was pro the H-1B visa, which is a visa where America gets in talented people. The kind of Bannon-Musk wing of the Republican Party is much more hostile towards that idea. They think that actually America first should be about protecting the American job market for Americans, and they think the H-1B visa has been completely devalued. And so there's a lingering rage between those two. The fact that it's now becoming out in the open is very, very interesting. I think what you're seeing is that so far the Trump administration has, through kind of massive, a sort of blizzard of news, has managed to convey this sense of itself as a really purposeful administration. But inevitably in modern government, there are lots of cock-ups going on all the time. And now you're seeing the hostilities and the cock-ups coming out to light.
Freddie, thanks for your take on things. I know you're going to be back with the papers in about 20 minutes' time. So thank you very much indeed for the moment.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Do stay with us. Paul Coit will be here next with all your sport.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody
in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Mr. Paul has got the sport for you on this Tuesday morning, and an England win at Wembley last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit underwhelming. See, the thing is...
A win is a win.
A win is a win. So everybody's talking about Thomas Tuchel and talking about England and the fact that it was underwhelming, and if you saw it, it was underwhelming. But to be honest with you, it's the second game that he's had as manager. Things are going to change. They're playing against what you would call a low block from Latvia, which means they just sat back and you just got to try and get past a brick wall. The crowds are a bit bored. Paper start throwing. It's bad at Wembley when the paper planes start flying around, and also the Mexican waves begin. So that was what happened. I mean, there was an amazing goal. Reece James scored a fantastic free kick, curling into the corner, which was great. Did you know it's the first England goal direct from a free kick at Wembley since 1993?
Really?
That's how long it's been.
You scored the last one, do you know?
Yes, I do. It was John Barnes against Holland, 1993. And it's the first time... Well, see if you can work this one out. First time that no Liverpool, Manchester United or Manchester City player was in the starting lineup since when? Pick a year. So no Man City, no Manchester United...
20 years.
No Liverpool. 1992. Ooh. 33 years ago. So anyway, it was OK. It wasn't great. But the thing is, when you're looking towards the World Cup, which is coming up next year, you want opposition that you can, test yourself against.
Yeah.
And it's Andorra coming up, Senegal in June. The hardest game they've got before the World Cup is Serbia away. So nothing really going to be testing them. But anyway, as we say, a win's
a win is a win. Emma Raducanu.
Oh, a win is a win.
A win is a win.
Watch Eamon's face.
She's in brilliant form.
Good luck to the girl. That's her fourth win in a row.
Fourth win in a row.
She's gliding through.
She's playing in the Miami Open. She lost 5. Exactly. She lost 5 out of 6. 17th seed. Anna Anisimova, 6-1, 6-3. She's got Jessica Pegula, American, in the last 8, who's the world number 4. I mean, if she gets past that, who knows?
Huh?
But yeah,
I could get my £100 bet from Eamonn.
Yeah, what is that? Is that on a major win or is that on any time?
I think that was any win.
A trophy win she was talking about.
OK, so you're happy with that still?
Yeah.
OK, fine.
I'm not going to lose that, am I?
Oh, well,
I think you might do at this rate. Who knows?
By the way, do you remember yesterday we had the fit of peak there from the golfer with the smashing, smashing the club against the sprinkler. And the Miami Open, love a bit of that. So there was some racket smashing yesterday. I thought I'd show you. This is Arthur Fils of France, Arthur Fils against Francis Tiafoe of America. Have a look at this. So this is when they were playing and they got a little upset and started smashing. Do we have that? I hope we do. There we go. That's Tiafoe there in the yellow shorts. He's very unhappy, not happy at all, bit of shouting. Any smashing there? No, just a little bit of aggravation. The crowd are making so. There we are. There's first man. Now, what is that about?
I don't like it when they do this.
It's ridiculous.
Like angry toddlers.
It's just, it really is. I mean, it's not only just one smash of the racket. It's like, it's your fault, racket. It's your fault all along. And then Tiafoe has a go at it as well. There you go. Look at this. What is going on?
That poor racket.
Smash the racket to pieces. No need for it.
Maybe there was ants or something on the ground.
I don't think there was.
No,
I don't think there was. So, no, he was very unhappy and smashed the racket to pieces.
Pochettino, is he heading back to Tottenham or not?
I don't think so, Eamonn.
You said yesterday, I mean, how could he? He's got this American team to look after for the World Cup.
Well, things aren't going so great for Ange Postecoglou, and there's always talk around new managers coming in, and everybody, well, so many Spurs fans' hearts are still with Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino did an interview last week and said that he has unfinished business, that he would like to go back eventually. There was pictures of him with Daniel Levy outside a cafe, and people have thought, whoa, when was this? Is this now? Is there something going on? Now, look, let's look at the evidence here. Mauricio Pochettino is the USA manager. They've got the World Cup in America next year. So there's no question you're going to walk out on that, which is the biggest sporting event they've had in years. He's on 5 million quid. He's on around about 5 million quid a year. And it turns out that it's going to be one of the biggest financial compensation packages in football history if he leaves, that Spurs would have to pay, which they ain't going to pay. The biggest one is Chelsea, 21 million to Brighton when Graham Potter left. And they're saying that although it's £5 million, the compensation would be a lot more than that. So Spurs fans, don't get your hopes up. Because he ain't going anywhere, certainly not for a while.
We play birthdays?
Yeah, fancy birthdays?
Yeah.
Come on. First one, we've got some sporting birthdays for you. First one is Jadon Sancho. Now, to stay at Chelsea, they're saying it's going to cost Chelsea 5 million quid to actually get rid of him to go back to Manchester United. But will you have him back?
I don't think he even ranks in people's thoughts.
That really is not good, is it?
I'm going to say 25.
25 for Jadon Sancho.
22.
25 is the correct answer. Very good, Miss Ellie.
Yes, thank you.
Let's go for another one. We have legendary boxer. This is Vladimir Klitschko, one of the Klitschko brothers, a Ukrainian, of course, WBA, WBO, IBF.
He has to be the same age as me.
IBO world champion, do you think so?
I'd say he's 44.
44, a little bit older than you. A little bit older.
Oh, see, I'd put him at 56.
49 is the answer for Vladimir Klitschko. Couple more. How about this one? The Watford legend, Mr. Reg Dwight, Elton John. It's Elton's birthday. Sir Elton's birthday today. There he is, outside Vicarage Road.
Is he 80?
Gonna go with the big one?
Well, I think that's probably quite a good guess.
Okay. I can't give it.
I'm going to say 79.
78 for Elton. And one more that I know, Eamonn, you'll appreciate.
Starsky and Hutch.
The knitwear. Of course, David Soul is no longer with us, but Paul Michael Glazer. I used to have that cardigan, by the way.
I quite like that cardi.
That's beautiful.
Lovely.
Beautiful cardigan. Paul Michael Glazer, Dave Starsky from Starsky and Hutch. How old is Paul Michael Glazer today?
He's 80.
80?
Everyone's 80 today. 82.
Is the correct answer.
I'm really good at this game
You really
today.
have had a very good day. See, the rest has helped you.
Very good.
Well, David Soul, I didn't go for the cardigan. I didn't like the cardigan thing, but David Soul used to wear this baseball jacket.
Yeah.
Black,
like a varsity jacket.
White sleeves and that that was the thing to have.
Yeah.
I did get one of those.
So if we play Starsky and Hutch, then I'll be Starsky and you can be Hutch, yeah? Because I had the cardigan, and also my name is actually Paul Michael Coit, which meant Paul Michael Glazer. I thought I was Starsky, even in the Adidas SL72 trainers there and the cardigan. So you could jump and land on your bum on the car. It'd be great.
Oh, yeah. It hurts even thinking about it.
Do you remember the amount of red cars that used to have that white stripe down the side?
Including one of my own.
Did you really?
Yeah. Jack it up at the back wheels as well, go faster stripe inside it. And I had the siren fitted. The lights, the whole bit.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry.
Right, then we'll reflect on that, and we'll let you reflect on Lent. Now, have a listen.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, I'm Reverend Mike, and welcome to St Leonard's Church in Denton. As recently as 1752, New Year's Day in this country fell on the 25th of March, the feast of the Annunciation, when Mary was told that she would have a son. It makes sense because the Annunciation is a new beginning for the whole cosmos. The Creator in all his glory comes to make his home in this lowly maiden. It is a unique event, but Blessed Mary is also a picture of what each of us were made for, to be a dwelling place for the living God. The Christ who came to live in Mary's womb longs to live in human hearts. But notice, God doesn't coerce Mary. She must willingly accept. Let it be to me as you have said. She said yes to Jesus. Here I am, says Christ. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me.
Now at 6:33, if you are travelling to work or school this morning, here is your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. Buses replaced trains between Stranraer and Bar Hill because of a signalling problem. On Merseyside, the A58 is blocked eastbound by an accident on Liverpool Road in Haydock. Trains have been stopped between Stourbridge Junction and Birmingham Snow Hill because of an incident. The M40 in Oxford is closed each way between junctions 9 and 8A, between Bicester and Oxford, after an accident late last night. And also in Oxfordshire, the A34 is closed each way for an investigation north of Abingdon. The M20 in Kent is blocked westbound by an accident just after junction 4 at Leybourne, and there are delays of up to an hour to DFDS sailings between Dover and Dunkirk.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us. Still to come, Freddie Gray and Anna Firth will be here to go through the papers with us. That's next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers in the company of the Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and former Conservative MP Anna Firth. Morning, you two.
Morning.
And Freddie, let's have a look at this. Text bombing plans to a journalist by mistake. This is the front page of the Times.
Well, it's an absolutely wonderful story. It's a journalist's sort of dream come true, really, to be included in a text group with, other than Donald Trump, the most important people in America, as they discuss a very major international story. And what's extraordinary about this story, well, there's many extraordinary things.
There are, yeah.
Is that Jeffrey Goldberg, who is the editor of The Atlantic, very distinguished journalist, decided that this was a national security risk that he was on there and that he should quit the group, which he did after a bit. And we were just saying...
what sort of journalist does that?
No British journalist would dream
No
of doing
British journalist would do that, yeah.
You wouldn't care if it was illegal, probably. You would... Sorry, you would, obviously, shouldn't say that. But you would carry on spying on this group that you'd been accidentally included in for as long as you could.
Mm.
But he did manage, while he was on there, he did manage to see some absolutely extraordinary exchanges. I think probably the most striking thing for me was the emoji use.
But also, it actually, in the group, it did actually detail when and where the attacks were going to happen.
Yes.
It wasn't until he actually saw on Twitter that they had happened at exactly the time that it said in the group that he realised...
It's not a prank.
The group was real.
That the group was real, yeah. Well, and I think even then he had doubts, and then he asked the White House, and their response showed that it very much was.
Yeah. Just goes to show, doesn't it, that WhatsApp is just not a professional forum. When we're on WhatsApp, we think we're talking almost as if we're talking to friends, because the conversation in the group strayed beyond Houthi targets. They started discussing Europe, and Vance was saying that the European contributions are pathetic. Now, that's a point of view, of course, but it's hardly professional.
Well, I think Vance saying that, we're bailing out Europe was the words he used.
Pathetic freeloaders.
Pathetic freeloaders. And then, Hegseth goes, I agree about Europe. It's pathetic in capital letters. Hegseth being the defence secretary. I think this is wrong-headed in the US administration, and I tend to sympathise with America over European leaders. But I think that it's just not true to say this is bailing out Europe. It's a major foreign policy goal of the Trump administration to isolate Iran, which is what they're doing by attacking the Houthi rebels.
And to support Israel.
And support Israel. And even in the exchanges, Hegseth said, we need to do this before Israel does it first.
Yeah.
So what they're really doing is supporting Israel and then blaming Europe. And I think that's an interesting dynamic, because what it actually shows is that America is very willing to work with, to assist Middle Eastern allies, but it increasingly doesn't really see the point of Europe.
Anna, are you a George Clooney fan? Because President Trump is not. He calls him a second-rate movie star and failed political pundit. That's because Clooney did an interview in which he said America was in trouble.
Oh, right. I hadn't picked that up. Am I a George Clooney fan? Not particularly.
Anna.
What's there not to like?
What is there not to like?
I'm more of a Brad Pitt fan.
Oh, I see.
And Richard Gere back in the day as well.
Well, Richard Gere's back in the news today. I think is he 80 or so? He's an amazing age and he looks incredibly well.
Oh, well, An Officer and a Gentleman, Yanks, all American Giggle, all those films were... And, of course...
75 today.
75
Richard
today.
Gere.
Oh, I thought you were about to say George Clooney.
Oh, no.
But... I mean, you know, I mean, Trump's going to have an opinion, isn't he, on everybody, particularly anyone who says anything against the Trump.
There's a kind of
playbook.
democratic fancy that George Clooney's wife, Amal, is going to be a president one day.
Oh.
But I don't know if there's any validity.
I wouldn't be surprised if she has those aspirations, would you?
Yeah.
She's a human rights lawyer, isn't she?
She's a human rights lawyer. She's often feted as a great political figure.
But I'm not sure human rights lawyers make the best leaders. We've got one, haven't we, at the moment? And what a disaster he's turning into.
Quite right,
yeah.
Charlie Mullins is a friend of this programme. He's a former, what's that company, that plumbing company?
Pimlico Plumbers.
Pimlico Plumbers.
Yeah.
He's the founder of Pimlico Plumbers.
Yeah. And anyway, he's a donator to the Reform Party. But now there's an honours forfeiture committee which has recommended that will write to the King and say that he should have his OBE revoked. And that's because he has attacked Sadiq Khan.
Well, I mean, other people have attacked Sadiq Khan, haven't they? I mean, Lee Anderson also attacked Sadiq Khan, and he just lost the Conservative whip. Obviously, he didn't have any honours to actually lose. I think some of the things he said are you know, beyond the pale, frankly. However, he has said that he has apologised. He's put his hands up. He said, you know, he's not going to use these you know, phrases and things again. And the honour, you know, you should lose an honour. Of course, you should lose an honour if you're convicted of a criminal offence, you know, or if you bring the whole system into disrepute, or if your regulator gets rid of you. You know, we have had examples. Robert Mugabe, he was stripped of his honour. Sir Fred Goodwin stripped of his honour for services to banking when actually he crashed the banking system and put, you know, Royal Bank of Scotland, you know, into the red. I mean, those are proper. Anthony Blunt, the Russian spy, correctly stripped of his honour. Does this fall into that category? I mean,
or is this an attack on free speech?
That's where I see this at the moment. Now, if he carries on saying, you know, with some of the things he's been saying, frankly saying that Sadiq Khan should be killed, I mean, that is beyond the pale. If he's to carry on in that genre, then yes, absolutely. But I think he's in that grey area at the moment of free speech. He's admitted it. Let's see what happens next.
OK, what's happening next, Anna and Freddie, is that we're going to take a break and we will be back right after this.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst some western parts of Europe are having something a little bit drier than they've seen through recent days, further east it's a very unsettled picture. We have heavy rain across parts of Italy, Greece for example. Totals could build up to around 100-150 millimetres over the Italian mountains, with some intense thunderstorms mixed in as well. Meanwhile, further west, a drier picture, albeit some rain pushing its way into Madeira as we go through tomorrow. Otherwise, like I said, western parts having the best of the dry, sunny weather.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Interesting research here, because on the one hand it looks as though awareness of ADHD and the symptoms is rising because of TikTok and influencers promoting the symptoms of TikTok, but there's also research that suggests that usage of TikTok itself can cause ADHD. So how do we kind of untangle this?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a double whammy, really, because I think, as you say, on the one hand, you've got this almost like social contagion of increased awareness of symptoms that either are ADHD or, as you have pinpointed, mimic ADHD. And we know that increased and excessive screen time, not just TikTok actually, but all social media time, mimics ADHD. Anyone that has a child and has witnessed their own child spending, obsessive time scrolling through social media or gaming and seeing what that does to a child, particularly, I think, young children's attention.
Yeah, my best friend, she was telling me, oh, yeah, I've known her since she was 4 years old. And she was chatting to me the other day and she goes, you know what? I've got ADHD. That's, well, if you've got it, I've got it. It's ridiculous. There are so many people saying they've got it. It's getting to epidemic proportions. Isn't it a bit ridiculous, all these people claiming they've got it? What is it? What is it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I completely agree. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree. I'm being tongue-in-cheek about TikTok. I do. My personal view is that TikTok is uniquely awful. I think it is absolutely mindless. Does anyone ever feel good after scrolling on TikTok? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there will be some people. So, I do accept these platforms are different for different people. I do think, though, we have to really ask, why is there this apparent explosion of ADHD and this rush for everyone to diagnose themselves?
GB News, the People's Channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
At 12 minutes now before 7 o'clock, just before we go back to the newspaper review, we just want to thank you and use your vote, because once again, GB News Breakfast has been nominated for a Trick Award. We're delighted about that.
Yes, we've reached the shortlist for Best News Programme, but we do really need your help. All of the awards are voted for by you at home. It's a public vote. Well, I think it's one of the only awards which goes down to a public vote. So we need your help. If you would like to vote for GB News Breakfast as Best News Programme, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now, or just head to poll-trick.org.uk and you can vote for us on there as well. And we are very, very grateful if you choose to do so.
Now, not only that, I think personally we're all delighted that our very own Charlie Peters, the investigative journalist, has been nominated for Best News Presenter because of his investigations into these rape gangs around the country, and he's completely dedicated to this and brings a number of reports to us, including yesterday here on the programme. So there you are, two options from GB News for you to have your say, and we'd appreciate you doing just that.
Yes, please, and you can vote for both in those categories. Thank you so much if you choose to do so.
Back to the papers now. Freddie Gray, and we've got Anna Firth here in the studio.
Yes, and Anna, this one's caught my eye this morning. Kemi Badenoch not doing enough to win back the public. This is a Tory mayor in the Telegraph.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you agree?
Well, I think he's... no, I don't agree, but and I think, you know, he's not exactly being a great team player, is he? I mean, if I was Kemi, I'd be having him straight down to Westminster and wanting to actually, you know, have a chat with him. No, I mean,
Look, what he's saying is she's practically invisible. There's no personality. She's not out there leading. She's not getting people behind her. Come on, could do more. Surely her homework mark should be.
Yeah, I get that completely, but she gave a brilliant speech last week on net zero, and she articulated perfectly why the net zero by 2050 is actually impossible. And the reason, and what she's doing is exactly the same thing that Margaret Thatcher did and David Cameron did. You know, when you are rejected by the public, and you know, in the scale that the Conservatives were rejected, that is an instruction to go away and sort your house out. And that's exactly what she's doing. And she's saying, look, we are going to think these things through. We're not going to do what the Labour Party have done, which is or get into power with no idea, no plan as to how you're going to run the country.
In a way, Freddie, she doesn't have to do anything because Labour is shooting itself in the foot time after time.
Well, that would be the case if it wasn't for reform. Because obviously the Tories now have this major threat, existential threat, I'd say, in the shape of reform. And I think Lord Houchin is saying out loud what a lot of Tories are saying in private, which is that, is Kemi a bit rubbish? And I think, you know, in general, yes, there was a speech about net zero last week. It was good. There have been a couple of good moments. But when she was elected, it was thought she was this media phenomenon, that she would be this dynamic, punchy, forceful personality. And so far, we haven't seen that. Now, a lot of people who like Kemi Badenoch will tell you that, you know, Margaret Thatcher didn't have a great first year. You know, it took her a while to get into the role, to sort of formulate her positions and so on. And there may be some truth in that. And certainly Kemi and her team have said, you know, give us some time. The party needs a total reset. We're going to lay out interesting policies that we're going to take some time over and sort of, you know, generate a proper response to Labour. I think that's true, but you do have to take into account she doesn't seem very quick on her feet at question time, Prime Minister's questions. She is not...
I mean, to be fair, Keir Starmer always reads from his notes, doesn't he?
He does, but she's just not very good at it.
She is asking Keir Starmer serious questions, and I watched last week's PMQs. He refuses to answer any question that she puts to him. I think he's incredibly patronising, and he's reading off, you know, his sets. And some of the things he was saying last week, I think that one of the Tory MPs did a brilliant thread. He analysed about 20 or 25 porky pies from Keir Starmer in 25 minutes. He said that the interest rates were 11% under the Tories. Of course they weren't. He got totally muddled up with inflation. I mean, the guy's a joke.
Well, I think, you know, performing at the box is not just what leadership is about. Let's take that into account. But I do think the inability of both Starmer and Badenoch to think on their feet in these discussions is quite depressing. I mean, it used to be thrilling to watch.
So we've lost that art, haven't we?
We've lost that art of amazing politicians, you know, going head-to-head with a barracking chamber. And now it's just sort of, you know, here's what my note said.
That's a really interesting point, because William Hague was one of the best performers ever at PMQs, and yet it didn't actually translate into anything.
He used to regularly trash Blair, and Blair's just kept getting more and more popular.
Got to cut across you, and we'll see you again in 40 minutes' time. Thank you very much indeed.
Now let's get a check on the weather, shall we, with Alex Burkle.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have three zones of weather at the moment. There's a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far north-northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. Buses replaced trains between Stranraer and Bar Hill because of a signalling problem. Trains have been stopped southbound from Birmingham Snow Hill to Stourbridge Junction because of an incident. Now, the M40 in Oxfordshire is closed in both directions between junctions 9 and 8A between Bicester and Oxford after an accident late last night with queues, especially southbound heading away from junction 10 at Brackley. Also in Oxfordshire, the A34 is closed in both directions north of Abingdon for an investigation. And there are delays of up to an hour to the FDS sailings between Dover and Dunkirk. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
Good morning. State pension fury. As rumours grow, the triple lock could be axed.
As the government's attention now turns to housing, A £2 billion investment, but where's it going?
All of that to go with just one day until the spring statement.
Trump's top team takes a swipe at Europe, dubbing them freeloaders in a leaked WhatsApp message.
Some breaking news in the past few minutes. The Home Office announces it's no longer working with the main provider of migrant hotels.
The Conservatives renew their campaign for a national inquiry into rape gangs.
More money is set to be ploughed into protecting Britain's farms as rural crime rates rise.
Dipping your toe into the dating pool after 50 years of age. How tricky is it in this digital age? We're asking, is it ever too late to find love?
What went wrong for Blue Peter? The BBC axes live episodes as the programme moves online after 66 years. One of the show's former presenters, Tim Vincent, will be joining us later on in the programme.
What would Shep and Petra say? In sport today, moans abound about England's performance against Latvia last night, which, yes, was a little bit dull, but they did win 3-0. It's Wales' turn in the World Cup qualifiers tonight. They're in North Macedonia, hoping to continue Craig Bellamy's very good unbeaten run as manager. And Emma Raducanu wins again, finds herself in the quarterfinals of the Miami Open.
Whilst it is going to turn quite cloudy with a bit of rain for quite a few of us through today, there's more spring sunshine on offer as we go through tomorrow. I'll have the details coming up.
And also coming up to 7:02, a very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
OK, the breaking news we can bring you is that the Home Office is ending its relationship with the biggest provider of migrant hotels.
Yes, Stay Belvedere Hotels is responsible for providing around 51 sites. It makes up about a quarter of all asylum accommodation. It operates Napier Barracks in Kent, which houses people awaiting asylum decisions, and that is due to close in September. The Home Office said that a review of Stay Belvedere Hotels, which has signed a contract with the previous government in 2019, has found issues with its behaviour as a supplier, although it hasn't yet provided any specific examples.
Let's get reaction to that now from former Conservative advisor Laura McKevitt on this one. They were saying that this lot were providing hotel rooms, and I'm sure a lot of them not in the most prestigious hotels, but at 145 quid a night. You and me could do better than 145 quid a night.
I think the way that they've worded their statement is quite careful. They've found supplier issues. The government obviously undertakes reviews of suppliers fairly regularly, regardless of which party is in power in government. The government just has a mechanism for judging suppliers. And so we have no way of knowing quite yet what the issue here is. Is it an issue of corporate malfeasance? Are there taxation issues? Are they charging for a service from the government that they are not actually providing? It's a bit hard to tell what it is that's gone wrong here until the government issues slightly more detail. I would imagine that the Home Secretary is going to have to come before the House fairly rapidly to explain what's gone on here, because it's a big statement to make on the Tuesday before the spring statement, which usually would indicate that something quite bad had gone wrong within the system.
Yeah.
But like I said, that can...
it's down to money. I suspect it's
not. So if they've signed a contract and they're
money,
providing on the basis of the contract's parameters for money, and they're charging on the basis of the value of the contract, the government can't just unilaterally pull out of it, because they're going to be sued, and they're going to be sued for the remaining length of term of the contract. So they're not saying that they're doing that. They're saying that there is an issue within the delivery of the contract. So it could be that the hotel has said we have to break the contract because it's now costing us too much money. We're losing too much money on the contract. We have to raise our fees. It could be that there is an issue of corporate malfeasance. It could be that there has been abuse in the system somewhere. Until the Home Secretary comes before the House to explain this, there's not really enough detail here to understand what's gone wrong to elicit a fairly swift statement on the Tuesday before the spring statement, when you would anticipate that 100% of government communications would be about the spring statement.
Well, as you say, that's that spring statement tomorrow at noon, and rumours swirling this morning that the triple lock could be axed.
So I think they've been quite clear that the amount that they're going to alter in the spring statement versus in the next budget, this is a 25-minute statement. This is not a 2-hour statement. This, they've hedged expectations a little bit on how much tax and spend is actually going to be altered in this statement. So I don't know that this is something that is coming in this statement tomorrow, but we are, as a nation, going to have a conversation about state pension provision, and that's not because pensioners are not entitled to being helped in older age. It's because there's firstly a fundamental misunderstanding about the concept of the state pension. Everybody who says that, oh, I've paid in for my whole life. Unfortunately, you've been paying in for the previous generations. That's how the national insurance contribution works. Is national insurance pays for current pensioners rather than what you have paid into your own pot. The triple lock of raising the state pension each year by the highest of either inflation, wages, or 2.5%. Wages aren't really growing, so there's a question mark over whether or not keeping that section of the triple lock is worthwhile.
Lauren, sorry for interrupting you. A lot of people are mystified about what triple lock actually means.
Yeah.
Can you explain it to us?
So this is the promise introduced in 2011 that the state pension each year will rise by the highest of either inflation, wages, or 2.5%.
Okay.
So that is basically gold plating the state pension provision for pensioners in the United Kingdom. And we are going to reach a point over the course of the next 20 years or so where private pension provision, because of alterations to mandatory workplace pensions that were introduced over the course of the last 20 years, will see so many people have substantial end-of-career private pensions that the requirement for a state pension that can be livable for 100% of pensioners will reduce. That's a conversation that's going to be a very difficult conversation to have. It's going to be a very long-term conversation to have. This isn't an overnight conversation that we can have. But people of my generation who have been in full-time work for their whole careers have private pensions now. And that makes the end-of-life financing of my generation look very, very different. We're going to have a conversation about that, because if you look at the pie chart on the back of your tax breakdown every year, you'll see an enormous chunk of that pie chart going to welfare expenditure. That includes pension provision.
Yeah.
That is not just
the thing that really scares me about talking about welfare provision, there's nothing for social care.
Yeah,
that's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
Financing of social care in this country is something that has been a political football that no one has wanted to touch. It's sort of the third rail of British politics. You touch it and you die. At the moment, it being split between local authorities and the health department, there's basically too many pots. It's devolved, so there are issues of duplication of workload between Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland. We've got 4 systems for this rather than just the one. And this is something where end-of-life care is getting really expensive, but it is something that is required. And part of the problem that I have personally with the assisted suicide debate that's going on at the moment is we aren't talking enough about the need to significantly improve palliative care efforts in this country. And if we were, we would not be having an assisted suicide conversation at all, which is very scary for everybody who is approaching end of life.
I just am amazed. I cannot believe that we cannot approach head-on the social care bill and do something about it, because, as you said, it's the elephant in the room. And I just think when you look at what we do spend money on, and there was a poll published today which says the public believe that you could easily cut 40% off budgets, public spending budgets, without any appreciable notice that it has happened.
I think there's a common misconception that that's how the government works. It's not how the government works. I think if you consider that just in the issue of potholes, which we were talking about earlier, to fix a pothole, you have a chain of individuals involved in the process. Get rid of one of them and you accidentally create quite a large expenditure problem. There was a really great essay in the 50s by a guy whose name I've now completely forgotten. No single person can make a pencil, because of the number of people involved in making the pencil, of the graphite importers, the manufacturers of the graphite overseas, the wood producers, the carpenters, etc. No single one person can make a pencil anymore. No single one person in government can fix a pothole. There is a process that involves, who is supplying the materials to do so, who is paying for the materials to do so, who is geographically spread out across the country well enough to be able to fix every pothole in the country. Remove one element from this process, and you will accidentally significantly increase the cost of being able to fix that pothole. That's the fine balancing act of how the government works, and it's not particularly well understood.
What I'm saying, and I'd like people at home listening and watching to think about as well, we used to be able to do it. It did not used to be a problem. And then the budget has become thinner and thinner and thinner. We're spending more public money on more things. And I put it to you, we don't need to be spending. It's nice to be spending it on certain things, but we don't need to be doing things. We need our roads fixed.
If we take the pothole example a little further then, part of the reason that we no longer fix potholes the way that we do, and part of the reason that it's more expensive now, is because about 10 or so years ago, the European Union banned the use of bitumen in fixing potholes.
Is that right?
And we used to fix our potholes with bitumen, and it was a much cheaper way of doing it. It's not particularly environmentally friendly. We're probably one of the only countries in Europe that this change really altered, and because we make roads a certain way because of the amount of rain that we get versus other nations.
Didn't know
that increased enormously the amount of money involved in fixing roads. So every single one of these regulations that gets introduced along the way adds a cost burden. And that's why it was important for Kemi Badenoch to be talking about net zero, because every single mechanism that we do to bring us to net zero is going to cost us money. Meanwhile, China is pumping coal out into the atmosphere and is taking no steps to try and rein it in.
Growing up in Northern Ireland, we used to, you cross the border, which was 30 or 40 miles away, from Belfast. You cross the border into the Irish Republic, and you knew you'd cross the border because the roads went from being perfect in Northern Ireland to just a war zone in the Republic of Ireland. Now it is reverse. They have all this European money and whatever, and their roads and their motorways, everything is all fantastic, and we are falling to pieces.
I think it's very interesting because you can make the same argument about counties in England. I'm from Gloucestershire, and until fairly recently you used to be able to tell when you drove over the border from Wiltshire into Gloucestershire because the roads took such a significant dip as soon as you crossed the border. This is a not uncommon issue. It comes down to what governments choose to spend money on, obviously. We received a lot of European money in the United Kingdom over the course of many years. We received a chunk of it in Wales, where the Labour government in Westminster before 2010 and the Labour government in Cardiff, basically until the referendum, fully believed that that was going to be a permanent uplift to their budget, and that structural funds were not something that needed to be grown out of in the way that, for example, Poland has chosen to use structural funds, which is to get to a point where they no longer qualify for them. So we spent structural funds very, very differently in the United Kingdom, and I think that's been to our detriment.
Lauren, you're so interesting.
Thanks.
You know so many things. Thank you very much.
She's like an encyclopedia, isn't she?
People who are watching and listening to what Laura McKevitt is saying there, if you've got a theory about roads or where we're spending our money or what we should be spending our money on or what we should do next, please have your say and get in touch with us. We say goodbye to you, Lauren. Thank you very much indeed. So, time's running out now, and your chance to spruce up in your spring and grab designer watches, a designer bag, and
£17,777 in tax-free cash. So have a think. What would you spend that money on? It could all be yours. Here are the details that you need.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, we don't know if you'll win the competition or not, but if you put your nose outside the door, we can't tell you what the weather will be like. Good morning, Alex Burkill.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have three zones of weather at the moment. There's a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far north-northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, still to come, is 70 too old to find love? That's what we're going to be asking next.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good wins yesterday for the England football team and Emma Raducanu, and Paul will tell you more.
I will tell you more. England won 3-0 against the country that has the tallest women in the world, of course. And that's my theme music. Latvia. So anyway, came through 3-0. People are moaning about it. I just think it's early days to start moaning about England, about how bad they are, and the fact that it was boring, and the fact that it should have been better. And Thomas Tuchel's come in. He says that the football is going to be exciting. But it's going to take time. We have to relax a little bit. I'm surprised how many people are upset. Reece James scored an amazing goal, free kick from outside the area. The first time in like over 30 years that an England player has... I mean, we all remember the David Beckham one, but it's over 30 years since a goal was scored by an England player with a free kick at Wembley.
So that was Beckham was against
Greece
at Old Trafford.
That was Greece at Old Trafford.
And that was a World Cup qualifier, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
And that was the goal that had to go in. So it's the first time at Wembley, though, it's happened. We do have a little Thomas Tuchel. I'd say we've got a little Thomas Tuchel. 2 wins for Thomas Tuchel. This is what he had to say after the game.
Very happy because of the players mainly. Staff was amazing. Organisation of the camp was absolute top. But the players made the difference, of course, like always. They reminded me instantly why I was excited about the job, because of these players, top characters, very good group. I think we had some excellent days on the pitch, but also off the pitch, good energy and very positive atmosphere. From the start until the beginning, everyone wants to give his best. Everyone is proud to play for England. Everyone wants to be in the starting 11, wants to come on. It was a good atmosphere, a good start. I think we need exactly these kind of matches, even in the tension of a World Cup qualifier, and also in the tension that not everything falls into place from the first minute.
Who was lucky to stay on the pitch? Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham. Very, very close to being sent off. Probably should have been during the game. So Tuchel decided it'd be a good idea to take him off. See, there's talk about Jude Bellingham, and then you get to say, well, you need to take that out of your game. But there are players that play in an aggressive way. And if you take stuff out of their game, that edge, then the game...
the Man United team of the 90s would have been, Paul Ince, Brian Robson, Mark Hughes, Eric Cantona.
Yeah.
All
Good
aggressive
boys.
players.
Yeah, that's it, and that's part of the game. Look, Wales are playing away in North Macedonia tonight. Craig Bellamy, who has just been brilliant. And you remember I said I met him. It was at Cliff Jones, legendary Welsh player. He had his 90th birthday party. And I met Craig Bellamy. I'd never spoken to him before. Always had an idea, and I thought, I don't think I'd like him. I always think he's a piece of work.
I hear he's the nicest, funniest guy in creation.
Correct. Yeah. He was fantastic and sat and spoke for ages. And I thought, God, talk about get your head screwed on right. He was really together. I mean, it was like everything you imagine that was never going to work for him. And he's like sensible, and he's involved in Welsh football and charities and everything. I thought, I really like you. And it's really working. 7 unbeaten now. So I wish him all the best. I mean, he really was. I was very impressed by Craig Bellamy. Didn't think I'd like him, but he's a lovely fella, and he's doing really well. See, because also we should mention that over in North Macedonia, that is where that awful fire was that killed so many teenagers in that discotheque or in that club. So anyway, he was asked about that and he spoke very eloquently. And it's when you're the manager of your country, not only do you know your football, but you also have to speak very well about what's going on, which Southgate was very good at. And I was
that's what he did last week, wasn't it?
Exactly, and that's what Craig Bellamy did. So good on Craig, very good.
Yeah. What else have you got for us?
I've got Emma Raducanu.
Yes.
Your favourite. She's
looking good.
You know, maybe she's better without a coach. You know, since you fired a coach after about 14 coaches, she's now into the quarterfinal of the Miami Open, 6-1, 6-3. She's lost 5 out of 6.
Straight set.
Now she's looking very good. So she's got Jessica Pegula to play next in the last 8 if she gets past her. I mean, who would have thought?
I thought.
I know you did. I know you did. Finally, Eamonn, it was the anniversary of the death of Johan Cruyff, the Dutch master.
What a player.
And his website, because, you know, obviously, you know, the fact that he's no longer with us, but you still have Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts, and they put something together, and it's all done with AI. And I just think this is very nice. And this is the life of Johan Cruyff, one of the greatest players ever to play the game. So they've used all pictures and stills over the years, coloured it, goes through his entire career. So from Ajax there, then on to him getting married, and then going on to playing in the World Cup. It's very clever how these things have been done. You know, it's pretty scary what AI can do. And there's Johan Cruyff, his entire life there, then going to Barcelona back in 1974, then playing for...
His son, of course, was
Holland in World Cup.
A high-profile player as well.
He was, but can you imagine, though? I mean, Jordi, but can you imagine having a dad like that? You're never going to live up to it. I've spoken to sons of players and people that... And it always weighs heavy on their shoulders.
Well, it would do, wouldn't it?
They say it won't. You know, I'm my own man, but it always weighs heavy on their shoulders. Yeah. But Johan Cruyff, one of the true greats of the game.
Great video.
It's very good.
So realistic.
It really is. It's scary.
Thanks, Coity.
Right, we're now going to talk about love. When does it start? When does it end? It starts very early. Would it end by the time you are 70?
Yes, can you find love in your twilight years? That's what we're asking this morning. Broadcaster Ryan Mark Parsons and former Conservative MP Anne Widdecombe join us now. Good to see you both this morning. Anne, let's start with you. Is 70 too old to date, do you think?
70 isn't too old for anything. Everybody ages at different rates, both mentally, physically, in the sorts of things they like. So, of course, 70 isn't too old for anything. I mean, for example, I get furious because I'm now barred from jury service simply because I've reached a certain age line. And they think that when you've got to that age line, you're too doddery and too mentally incompetent to deal with analysing arguments and looking at evidence. And I mean, it's complete rot. And we need to get rid of age bars altogether. So when you say to me, is 80 too late to, is 70, well, we might even say 80, it's too late to find love, the answer is just look around you. Lots of people have. But let me say right away, no, that's not an invitation. I've absolutely no ambitions in that area at all.
Ryan Mark, what do you make of it? Do we need to stop putting a bar on ageing and dating?
No, I don't think we should. I think once you get to such an old age, you really should be looking for love internally. I mean, you should self-love. I just don't see the point at 70 years old to be searching for love at that point. I think you should go on holiday somewhere. I think you should find love with the sunshine and a cocktail, perhaps, instead of looking for a man or a woman. I think at what point do you decide that you know, love is not going to come around knocking on your door? And I think probably at the age of 70, that is when you should decide it's time to give up. I'm 24, living in London. I know how incredibly hard it is to find love. I don't know how anyone who has wrinkles and grey hair at the age of 70, over someone like me, could perhaps find love. I just don't think it's possible. I think it's a nice idea, but I think it's not feasible. And also, I don't think there's any point at that age.
And do you think there's a point? And as Ryan Mark says, is it time to give up at 70?
Absolutely not. If that's what you want, then it really isn't time to give up. Now, I ideally wish that I could still be around in 50 years' time so that I could come back and say to Mark, well, there you are, you see. You know, there is no natural limit And anyway, we all know people who've fallen in love in their 70s or they've got married at an advanced age. Now, when the actors do it, you know, and they marry people sometimes umpteen years younger, you know, we take that for granted. But it happens as well to ordinary citizens. And I would say this, thanks very much for the comments about grey hair and wrinkles. I have both in abundance, but I know people my age who, whatever it is they're using, they don't have either.
Yeah. And, you know, love takes many forms, I suppose, Mark. Sometimes it's just company, and company's what people desperately need, whether you're 17 or 70.
Yeah, well, I think definitely search for company. I think there's a difference between company and avidly seeking love. I think at the age of 70, I'm not sure what 70-year-olds actually enjoy. Maybe a chess club, or perhaps the bingo is something they could take up instead of going out there searching for sex. I think at the age of 70, you need to really reconsider what you want out of life. I think going to the beach, and like I said earlier, going to Barbados and getting an espresso martini is probably something that should be at the top of your priority list. But also, I worry about people in their 70s and being susceptible to scams. I mean, in 2022, the New York Post found that over 70,000 people, and those in their 70s, were actually liable to all of these scams, which amounted to a median loss of about $9,000. Now, these are stats from the US, obviously, but when you get to a certain age, I think people then use that to their advantage, people that have nefarious intentions, and they see an older person. You get a lot of these sugar babies. I've got actually a lot of people my age that are looking for older people because they're waiting for them to die to inherit money.
Oh, no.
Or using their mental fragility to actually scam them. And that is something that I would caution with. Any 70-year-olds watching this, perhaps looking for their next Lothario, some Italian stallion, whatever it might be, you need to be careful about who approaches you.
OK. Yeah. And you're becoming more attractive with every second that passes there. Thinking about that.
Yeah, nice thought, but as I say, not my scene at all, not interested. But I mean, I do have to say this, Mark's view, I mean, doesn't he have a great granny? I mean, Mark's view
and she's happily single.
Yeah, so am I. But Mark's views of septuagenarians seem to me extraordinary. That apparently top of our wish list should be having a martini on a cruise or something. We've all done that loads of times. As for
guys,
scams,
we've got to say goodbye to you.
Do it again.
Thank you both very, very much indeed. We've now got Richard Fuller, who's the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury. Thank you both, Mark and Anne.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mr. Fuller. Good to see you today. We've got the spring statement tomorrow at noon. What are you expecting, and what should Rachel Reeves do?
Well, you're right. Rachel Reeves' spring statement comes tomorrow afternoon, and part of that, of course, is about what damage her decisions in her budget will have done to the forecast that the Office for Budget Responsibility produce, and therefore in turn what that means for decisions on public spending. But of course the story's already in. We already know that businesses across the country are cutting back on their investment plans, looking to cut staff because of the changes in taxation, and particularly the jobs tax.
Does she need to break her own fiscal rules?
Well, she said she won't, and of course she'll be looking right now, finalising how she's going to deal with potentially lower decisions, lower forecasts of growth, and the fact that when she put her budget together, remember, going back to October, she made choices, a choice to raise $40 billion of extra taxes, largely on business, the decision to borrow more money, and the markets now seem to say she can't borrow anymore. And the consequence of those decisions has been to flatten business confidence. And I think she's going to find it difficult, but she'll have an answer tomorrow. The question is, what will that then do to business confidence in the years ahead?
Can I ask you about the rape gangs, because the Conservatives are renewing their campaign for a national inquiry into these grooming gangs. You obviously tabled an amendment earlier on this year, didn't you? That was voted down. Are you expecting a different outcome this time around?
Well, we're hoping so. It's interesting, isn't it, that when media like GB News take the focus off this issue, the Labour government turns its eyes away. We place very serious questions about the weaknesses of the Labour Party approach, having these local inquiries, which, as GB News said, doesn't cover all the country, which is open to the fact that local people will be marking their own homework. And we've pointed this out in Parliament, and so we're hoping that MPs of all parties will now realise that we need this comprehensive approach that really gets the details not of specific issues in specific locations, but a comprehensive view on what was going on with this grooming gangs across the country.
Why do you think the government is so reluctant to hold this full-scale inquiry?
Well, there are sensitivities about looking at that issue, and there are potential pitfalls for a national inquiry. We understand that, but you have to look at the fact that there were victims of these attitudes across the country, of these gangs, these men, and we owe it to those victims and to their families to say that we're prepared courageously as a political class to confront some of those issues on their behalf and really get to the root causes that meant that this issue wasn't happening on one or two locations, but in many locations across the country. We owe it to them to do that.
Yeah. You still see this as an emergency budget rather than a spring statement then?
Well, the emergency is being felt in the country right now, Mr. Holmes. I mean, if you go back to where we were just before the budget, business confidence was pretty good. We had low inflation, 2% interest rates were down and forecast to come down. And then after the budget, business confidence cratered. And the emergency is being felt in small businesses up and down the country who can no longer hire additional people. It's going to be felt by people looking for an increase in their pay in the coming year, finding that jobs tax has taken that pay increase away. And it's going to be felt in terms of growth, because businesses are now being squeezed for the money that they have to invest in maybe opening new shops or opening a new factory or starting a new product line. That's the emergency. The emergency is out there in the real economy, not maybe what will be happening in Westminster in the next 48 hours.
Rumours swirling this morning that the triple lock will be means tested or axed entirely. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that we seem to often get ideas thrown up a few days before to set people off in different directions. We'll have to wait and see what Rachel Reeves has said. Last week, Kemi Badenoch reaffirmed the Conservative commitment to the triple lock. And there's this issue, which I think many MPs are now getting in their constituency mailbags or online through email, which is pensioners now saying, why am I starting to pay tax next year on my state pension? And that's an issue perhaps the Chancellor will have the opportunity to address tomorrow.
Richard Fuller, we'll say thank you and goodbye to you. Richard is the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury. Thank you very much indeed.
Now do stay with us. Still to come, Freddie Gray and Anna Firth will be going through the papers with us. But first, if you're in search of some winter sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst some western parts of Europe are having something a little bit drier than they've seen through recent days, further east it's a very unsettled picture. We have heavy rain across parts of Italy, Greece for example. Totals could build up to around 100-150 millimetres over the Italian mountains, with some intense thunderstorms mixed in as well. Meanwhile, further west, a drier picture, albeit some rain pushing its way into Madeira as we go through tomorrow. Otherwise, like I said, western parts having the best of the dry, sunny weather.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. Buses replace trains between Stranraer and Bar Hill because of a signalling problem. The M40 in Oxfordshire is closed in both directions between junctions 9 and 8A between Bicester and Oxford after an accident late last night. There are delays from junction 10 at Brackley. Also in Oxfordshire, the A34 is closed each way north of Abingdon for an investigation. The M25 in Hertfordshire is blocked by an accident clockwise just before junction 25 for the A10 with queues from junction 24 at Potters Bar. And on the M4 in Berkshire, there's a lane closed eastbound where someone's broken down between junctions 10 and 8-9 from Wokingham to Maidenhead, causing delays.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers with Anna Firth and Freddie Gray. Morning, you two. And Anna, let's start with this story in The Guardian, shall we? Domestic abusers are driving more victims to suicide.
Yeah, this is actually a really serious story. So every year, Jess Phillips stands up in the House of Commons and reads a list of the women who've been killed by their partners in that year, and it's a really salutary moment. And the figure last year, according to the killed women count, was 80. But if you actually look at the women who are driven to suicide and who have unexplained falls, such as down the stairs, etc., it mushrooms to 262 women who die each year as a result of domestic abuse of one sort or another. So the figure of 80 is a massive underestimate. So we really need to be looking at this. Basically, it means that the police need to be doing more investigation, probably bringing forward more charges of manslaughter. We shouldn't be letting convicted criminals out on tags and on licence, and we should be, focusing on far more on the real numbers of women who are being murdered by their partners or by close relations.
It is a difficult legal area, though, isn't it? I mean, you can't prove that a suicide unless you have evidence, which is difficult to find. You can't prove that a suicide was caused by a domestic abuser.
But what you can do is look at the pattern of behaviour and how, what may be termed as a suicide, so somebody jumping off a bridge, may not actually have been a suicide at all. That person may have been coerced into thinking that they are worthless and that they're better off not being here. We have to focus more on the amount of abuse that women are suffering.
Well,
It's very
particularly with
grim.
assisted suicide legislation coming in, convincing people they're worthless will soon be a kind of invitation to them to kill themselves.
Yeah, it's just horrendous, isn't it? And also, a notable number of these women were pregnant at the time, which is just so grim, isn't it, to think about. If you have been affected by any of these topics that we are discussing right now, you can, of course, find help through the Samaritans website. You can call them on 116 123. That website is samaritans.org. Freddie, let's have a look at the Bank of England, this is, adding to growing pains for the Chancellor.
Yes, well, this is the big domestic political story of the week, the spring statement tomorrow from Rachel Reeves. Can she undo some of the damage she wrought on the British economy? The Governor of the Bank of England is saying there are substantial problems with the British economy. Everybody knows this. We have an ageing population, and we have not had growth, some serious growth for quite a long time. He also says that tariffs, American tariffs, Donald Trump's tariffs, are going to make growth very, very difficult to achieve. But he does try and strike a note of optimism, and I think this will be something that Labour hope will be part of the story tomorrow.
OK. We're going to have to take a short break there. We're going to be back with Freddie and Anna again right after this.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, the end of February marks the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan, and the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was quick to wish all Muslims Ramadan Mubarak.
Yes, he was, and the royal family also took to their Twitter feed, and they have millions of followers to mark the occasion, sending their best wishes to Muslims in the UK, Commonwealth and all around the world.
Which is all very nice, and quite right, of course, because there are many, many Muslims who are in the Commonwealth, which the royal family heads. However, what's been said for the Christians?
Zippo.
Because there's been a deafening silence from, well, the royal family, politicians, and many others as Christians mark the beginning of Lent, despite the fact the King is, of course, head of the Church of England.
Yes, it's all rather disappointing. Shall we get the reaction of the former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II, Dr. Gavin Ashenden? Thank you very much indeed, Gavin, for coming on. Are Christians being forgotten in this country? I am taken aback by the fact that the royal family would take to their Twitter feed, which is watched by millions of people, to celebrate the holiday of Ramadan, but no mention of Lent, no mention of Shrove Tuesday, no mention of Ash Wednesday, nothing.
Yes, it's all very odd, and it's not easy to understand, because as you quite rightly said, it's the right and courteous thing to do to wish Muslims well on what is for them a very important feast day. Why would we not want to be courteous and generous and supportive to people quite rightly pursuing their own religious devotions? But it's as well as two-tier policing, we appear to be having two-tier religion in this country, because as you say, there's complete silence for the Christians, who still make up nearly 50% of the country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
As if you don't see enough of Donald Trump, we're going to show you a portrait that he has had. I don't know if he had it painted or it was gifted to him. How did he describe this one, Ellie?
The worst portrait ever. He's not happy, is he, Anna?
Seen worse?
No, I think it is quite bad, to be fair.
But
It's not great. I think he does look a bit jowly.
I mean, I'm going to stick up for...
I'm
going to stick up for our British artist here because, come on, Trump is no oil painting, is he?
No.
With his gold hair and his orange skin and often, you know... there he is. He's got
It doesn't look like Trump, though, come on.
I think it's a good deal more attractive than he normally looks. I'd be happy.
Painted a few years ago, and he has actually lost weight on his face since then, I think. There's rumours of Ozempic.
Is there?
I mean, there's sort of a touch of the Henry VIII about it, isn't there, with the little mouth? So, I mean, you know, maybe that's what he doesn't like. But, you know, Churchill, remember, burnt a portrait of him that was given to him on his 80th birthday. Hated it so much, he burnt it. So there is precedent, long precedent for people not liking their portraits.
And the painting the world wants to see, this painting was just in the Colorado state capitol, the painting the world wants to see is the painting that Vladimir Putin gave to Steve Witkoff, the Trump envoy, to give to Donald Trump. It's apparently by Russia's greatest artist, but I don't think anybody has seen it yet outside of the highest political circles. I'd be very interested to see that. I bet you that one's pretty flattering.
Yeah, I reckon it would be.
Also on display, Meghan Markle. What's she selling, Ellie? What's
selling dresses? Yeah. This is her new brand, As Ever. So she's posted this on her Instagram. It's hand-picked collection of clothing that she loves. I think we've got some pictures. I mean, the dresses are stunning, but they're over £1,000. There's a white dress on the screen now. Over £1,000, Anna, would you go for that?
Certainly not. I mean, I think this is a most appalling story. I mean, she's used her children as clickbait, published a picture of her kids, and an hour later, which she knows will drive huge traffic, and then an hour later she posts these pictures of this rebrand. I mean, we've got sandals here for £600. I mean, honestly, you would get nicer, better ones from our Primark on Southend High Street.
Is she out of touch, Freddie? Suggesting and peddling dresses for over £1,000 on her Instagram.
Of course she's out of touch. It's a shock horror Meghan is ghastly story, isn't it? She is shameless. It's true.
Look at that.
She has been to give her some credit. She has not always used her children in the way that some people might have thought she would, but she does now seem to be using them to promote her brand, because ultimately, if you're an Instagram influencer, you start using everything in your life to sell your brand, to promote yourself, and that's where she's going. She's going back to where she was before she met Harry, and that's being an online influencer.
A lifestyle vlogger.
A lifestyle vlogger. Yeah.
Well, if you're starstruck looking at those pictures, wait to see these ones. These are UFOs that have been spotted over the UK. We're getting a lot of these over the past couple of weeks.
Ooh.
And basically, it's a sort of spiral, so like a Catherine wheel
it
or
does look
something
like
up
a
there.
Catherine wheel
up
in the sky.
Look.
Very pretty.
It's like the old World of Sport logo.
Yeah,
so it is.
It looks like one of those spinny things.
It looks like a science fiction novel. You know, the cover of a science fiction novel.
And it's kind of bluey grey.
Do you know what it is?
You know what it
apparently?
actually is?
No, what is it?
According to UK Astronomy Twitter handle, it is second stage deorbit burn from the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket.
Really?
Yeah. So we are living in a sort of science fiction world. But that's what it is. It was seen over Yorkshire, Norfolk, all over parts of England, and lots of people very baffled by it.
I'd be a bit freaked out if I looked up and saw that in the sky above my house, wouldn't you?
It is a bit spooky.
Yeah, lots of people online saying it looks like aliens in a spaceship.
I think it's pretty amazing, actually. I mean, it's sort of reminiscent of the Northern Lights, isn't it? You know, in terms of, you know, very, very vivid, very, very impactful.
Well, and also, we can't be sure that UK astronomy are right about this. Quite often we're told that things in the sky are things that they're not.
Do you think that's saying?
So is this related to Elon Musk?
Let's not rule it out.
Then? So is this more of Elon Musk on our
It is Elon Musk,
screens?
Yeah.
So that's why you got it from Twitter.
He's everywhere, Anna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eamonn, what do you think? Do you think it could be aliens?
I think there's always the attitude, including us as broadcasters, to say, of course, these things happen all the time and don't put too much faith in it. I just look forward to the day where people realise that we're not alone in this universe, and everybody, you know, everybody will be such surprise. Do you think we're alone?
No, I'm an alien. So, I'm well aware that there are other species out there.
Anna, what do you think?
No, I think it's completely illogical to imagine that life is only on our little planet, given the enormous size of the universe. I'm not sure about... And there's a story in one of the papers today, actually, about evidence of life on Mars. I mean, there's always stories about evidence of life on Mars, but there is definitely something about ancient life on Mars.
OK.
Anna, Freddie?
Well, let's find out what life's like in the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have 3 zones of weather at the moment. It was a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far north-northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. Buses replaced trains between Stranraer and Bar Hill because of a signalling problem. The M40 in Oxfordshire is closed in both directions between junctions 9 and 8A between Bicester and Oxford after an accident late last night. They're accused back beyond junction 10 at Brackley. Also in Oxfordshire, the A34 is closed in both directions north of Abingdon for an investigation. And on the M27 in Hampshire, there's a lane closed westbound for emergency repairs at junction 5, the turn for Southampton Airport, and it's slow towards and past there. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could have £17,777 in tax-free cash to play with this spring. Cash to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we're also going to give you not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches and the latest Mulberry handbag. How would winning that sound? For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
Hello there, good to see you. The Home Office has dropped the country's largest asylum hotel provider.
Concerns emerge over the company's performance.
But with more migrants crossing in the first 3 months of this year, just where will the government house them?
And the government said that they would smash the gangs, but the numbers crossing the channel are up 36% on last year. I'll bring you more details shortly.
State pension fury as rumours grow that the triple lock could be axed, but it hasn't stopped the government from announcing a £2 billion housing investment.
Trump's top team takes a swipe at Europe. It dubs Europe freeloaders in leaked WhatsApp messages.
Time to act. The Conservatives renew their campaign for a national inquiry into rape gangs.
More money set to be ploughed into protecting Britain's farms as rural crime rises. We have a report.
Well, more than £52 million was the bill for farmers across the country because of rural crime. The government now committing almost £1 million to help and stop this criminality.
And on the first whistle, we're talking to Gladiator Montel Douglas, who's sharing the show's inside secrets.
And what's happened to Blue Peter? The BBC has axed its live episodes. The programme was moved online after 66 years. One of the show's former presenters, Tim Vincent, live in the show after 9.
And in the sport today, it's Thomas 2 wins, Tuchel from 2 games. Although England beat Latvia 3-0, it was a rather underwhelming win, but a win's a win. Emma Raducanu's on her best run since winning the US Open at the Miami Open. She's into the quarterfinals. And just hours after getting home from the World Indoor Athletics Championships in China with a medal in her pocket, Georgia Hunter-Bell is going to be with us in about 20 minutes.
Whilst it is going to turn quite cloudy with a bit of rain for quite a few of us through today, there's more spring sunshine on offer as we go through tomorrow. I have the details coming up.
2 minutes past 8, a very good morning to you. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we're on the radio, we're on TV, we're online. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
No sting. Why have we got to the stage where there's no stings anymore?
But we do
have...
have...
the wrong sting. And it was the wrong sting yesterday, too.
Oh, no.
Yes, we didn't have it at this stage either.
But that's how it should sound, yes.
But anyway, despite all that, we're up for a Trick Award. So we are. So we're good at something. Something seems to be working. Television and Radio Industries Club. And it's very, very prestigious award. And there's just some of us involved here on this. And
why am I not there? Should I not be
You should be there, right? You should be right
the
there.
first name I'd put down.
Yeah. Well, we've won twice. We've won 2 years in a row.
Absolutely.
Can we make it the triple?
We've won more than twice.
I think we've won breakfast twice.
Oh, no, it's
years.
just me that keeps winning, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You've won lots as well. But yeah, breakfast has won twice, 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Can we make it a triple? We'd like to, but if we need to do that, we are going to need your help. All of the awards are voted for at home. They're voted by you, the people. So if you'd like to vote for breakfast to win Best News Programme, just head to trick.org.uk, or you can scan the QR code on your screens now.
Big honour just to be nominated.
Oh, it's
so
amazing.
The rest is up to you. And I'd personally like to give a shout out for somebody who I think definitely should walk off with an award, and that's our man Charlie Peters. Charlie's been nominated as the best news presenter, and I think the work that he's done on rape gangs really does need to be recognised, because he really is the only person doing this in the news world.
Tireless
and
reporting, yeah.
getting reaction and getting results on this. So there you go. Vote for Charlie, or vote for both of us. Why don't you do just that and make us all happy?
Everyone's a winner. Here at GB News, that would be good, wouldn't it?
We need your vote for that.
Yeah. Now, at 8:04, and breaking news this morning, the Home Office has announced it's no longer working with the main provider of migrant hotels.
With us now, our political correspondent, Catherine Forster. She's going to tell us why, Catherine, they have been dropped. There could be a number of reasons.
Well, they're making a lot of money, and it's costing the government, by extension, all of us, too much, is the reality. I don't think the government can get out of the contract immediately, but it's coming in the next year or so. This is a company called Stay Belvedere Hotels, and they manage 51 hotels. And also the Napier Barracks in Kent, which was a former military barracks. The use of that to hold asylum seekers is ending anyway. The government has said that they're concerned about the performance of this provider, lack of value for money. The latest accounts that company published showed that they made a £50 million profit, and basically the Treasury has told the Home Office to make sure it's getting better value. So this is where this has originated from. The government very keen to save money where it can. So other government contractors will pick up the slack, so to speak, from this decision. But one of the ones that's being brought in, quite incredibly, is the company that was responsible for the disastrous Bibby Stockholm, the barge down in Dorset that the previous Conservative government used. It was supposed to save the taxpayer money. It was supposed to be cheaper than using hotels. In fact, it turned out to be more expensive. They had Legionnaire's disease, there was a suicide. It was an unmitigated disaster. So I think there'll be questions about why that company is being given more government money. But the broader picture is that this is a government that said they were going to smash the gangs. They said they were going to end the use of putting asylum seekers in hotels. They've now admitted it's going to continue for years. And the numbers crossing the channel are going in the wrong direction. So far this year, we've had over 5,800 people make that crossing. That is up a third on last year, and that is a record. So the government will say they are getting the asylum wait list down. But look, this is still very, very expensive, and no sign of the numbers coming in dropping at all. Quite the reverse, in fact.
Here's something, do you think, Catherine, from the Home Secretary on all of this? Because it's a huge announcement to make, isn't it, with the spring statement at noon tomorrow? Strange timing.
Yes, it is strange timing, and it feels like there's nothing but bad news, really, for the government at the moment, because we've got more sort of dire economic forecast. The governor of the Bank of England talking about the economy, saying that growth, is not going to be strong, saying partly because of Donald Trump and these tariffs that he's bringing in globally that we may or may not escape in a week's time, depending on if we drop that digital services tax that America is up in arms about. That would cost us $800 million. So if we get this global trade war, that's going to dampen the economy. And he's also saying, look, we've got an aging population. So his big hope is AI and tech. But, the government came in promising growth. That was going to be the key to unlocking money for public services. But it looks like tomorrow at the spring statement, Rachel Reeves, having put up taxes by $40 billion, is now going to be cutting public spending very significantly indeed.
Thank you very much indeed. We're now going to talk about rural crime, and there's going to be a boost in this spring statement tomorrow to funding for police action against crimes that affect farming and rural communities.
Well, it's part of the government's plan for change to make our towns and cities safer. Well, GB News West Midlands reporter Jack Carson joins us now, and this is a huge issue for farmers, isn't it, Jack?
but in reality, that's not going to touch the farm.
Yeah, well, it is a huge issue. You look at, of course, you know, the impact that it's having to farmers. You know, £52 million last year was a bill really that farmers had to foot because of the impacts of rural crime. That's from the NFU Mutual's Rural Crime Report. I'm going to bring in Andrew Ward now, who's farmer on this morning. Andrew, thanks for joining us. I mean, this £800,000, just over £800,000 that's being committed by the government to help, you know, tackle the impacts of rural crime. You know, what's your kind of reaction to that announcement of funding this morning?
Well, it is welcome, obviously, because rural crime is a big issue. And out in the countryside, we've had the police numbers cut, and that's obviously a huge issue. And these guys who are doing the best to help and support us can only do so much. So having more funding available will hopefully put more boots on the ground. But at the minute, the figures they're talking about of £800,000 nationwide, it's not going to scratch the surface. It needs far, far more than that, because rural crime is a huge issue. It's a step in the right direction, but it needs to go further.
Yeah, I mean, just tell us about the impact that it has. I mean, what are you having to do? What methods and action are you having to take to try and protect yourself and your farm here? You know, we can see the machinery behind us, the sheds and things that you've got. What action are you having to take to try and protect yourself from this crime?
Well, at the farm entrance, we've got a barrier that is on a code, so that obviously slows us down coming in and out. That we have to open that every time we come in and out the farm. We've got all the sheds are locked up as well. We've got gates and barriers in front of the sheds, so that if they get in the sheds, they can't get out because the barriers are in the way. And then out in the fields, we've got to block off gateways because we get vehicles driving all over the fields, and that's when crops are planted and crops are growing in the field, and they'll drive all over the fields at night. So we have to block gateways up with tree trunks. We've got old tractor tyres we fill with concrete, and with a loop in the top, we can move those with the forklift. So it's all those things we have to do on our own property, and of course all that does is inconvenience us. At a busy time, we have to make sure when we want to go in those fields with a sprayer or a tractor, we have to go first with a forklift to move those obstacles so we can get in our own fields.
And one of the things from the NFU Mutual, you know, annual crime report is GPS tracking systems. That's one of the biggest things that are being started. I think it's more than 100% of an increase in that crime over the past 12 months. How do you protect yourself against things like that? Because I guess that means breaking actually into the machinery to be able to take that bit of equipment.
It absolutely does, and this is the problem we've got. Is farming today isn't as simple, slight straw chewing, you know, a job that it was years ago. It's so technical and so advanced. All our tractors have GPS units, and that's to steer the machinery, but also to operate the machinery on the back. So our sprayer has one on, and it will switch the sprayer on, it will switch the sprayer off automatically. You don't have to do the controls, the system does it. And those, the domes on the roof, as we call them, the receivers that you'll see on the top of a tractor roof, those typically are around about £3,000 to £4,000 just for the dome. Then you've got the hardware behind that, you've got the screen in the cab, the screen's another £5,000 or £6,000. So you can see why there's so many of those going, and I understand a lot of them are going missing and they're going abroad. They're going, I think it's Romania and the eastern countries like that. That's where they're going to, so it is huge.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us that reaction. Of course, as I was saying, more than £50 million was the bill that farmers had to foot because of rural crime, and this almost £1 million put forward by the government trying to stop that.
Jack, thank you very much. Depressing to hear that. There's always somebody out for a cheap grab on something, as if farming isn't hard enough without all of that one. But we'll try and flag the flag for you and make sure the police and neighbours and everyone knows about that and what you've got available.
Yeah, and thank you, Jack Carson, for shining light on that issue, because it is a really difficult time for farmers, as it is, as you say, without that happening as well.
Now, the weather situation, which affects farming and the rest of us, let's go to Alex Burkill and see what way it's headed.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have three zones of weather at the moment. There's a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now time is running out on your chance to spruce up your spring and grab designer watches, a designer bag and £17,777 in tax-free cash. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, with that, we'll take a break. Gladiators, inspiring a lot of people to get up and move, and we're going to be talking to one of those right after the break.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
SpaceX latest Starship exploded over the Caribbean Sea.
I was wondering where it'd gone.
Yeah, debris could be seen falling back to Earth moments after the Starship launched down from Boca Chica, Texas. The rocket, of course, was unmanned. This was the 8th test flight, and it was only meant to be in the air for an hour. But, importantly, the booster for this rocket was caught with those Mechazilla chopsticks in an impressive display, the 3rd time that's happened.
Those Mechazilla chopsticks? This is Elon Musk's spaceship, isn't it?
Tell.
Starship, sorry.
Yeah.
Planetary scientist Andy Lound could tell us more about this. Andy, so was this a disaster, or is this just a little obstacle to success?
Yeah, good morning. Par for the course, really. This is what kind of, good afternoon, par for the course as these things go on. The whole point of the tests, he's going to do 25 tests this year alone. And the interesting thing about this is you actually see the staging of it, where you've got the first stage, the booster, and then the second section, which is the ginormous rocket, which actually lifts off. The first stage, they seem to have got that cinched now, how it works quite well, coming back and landing in the chopsticks, absolutely breathtaking. The second stage, the Starship, was actually the new version of it, which they're testing out completely. And unfortunately, the first testing, the last test failed, and that was due to, it looks like, some frequency issues, which caused a frequency to go too high, which caused damage to the piping, which led to a fuel leak and a fire, which led to destruction. They made a lot of modifications, which led to test 8. And unfortunately, though, it has failed again. So they need to have a look exactly what the issues are which are causing these failures.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
Now, when it comes to watching television, Gladiators rates very highly. And do you know that Gladiators is the TV show most likely to get you thinking about moving, about exercising?
Well, who better to talk to us about than Gladiator and Olympian Montel Douglas. Good to see you this morning, Montel. You've done it all, haven't you? Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics. You're now a Gladiator in the reboot of the show. What's been your favourite challenge of them all?
My goodness, good morning. That's tricky to say. You know, I do a lot of different things. I'm very greedy. I love to keep moving because I think it just helps you feel a lot better and feel stronger. So for me, I think it's hard to pick. I would never pick. I've been doing activity now for like 20 years. So I'm still challenging myself to this day.
Paul, it's amazing listening to that woman talk there. She never sits still. I mean, you know, if she isn't in track and field, bobsleighing as well.
I know. I mean, the thing is, it seems, though, Montel, I've seen this before, that after sprinting, the next thing is like, what do I do now? I know I could go into bobsleigh because it's the speed and the push. So how did that go and how easy was that?
I mean, easy, that is not the word. Things are never easy moving forward.
Sorry, how difficult was that, Montel?
It was, I mean, the difficult thing is, I think, the mindset around doing something new as you're getting older. You know, I was like 31 when I went into bobsleigh. So from sport, it was completely different to grasp the new concepts, new ways of technique. And also, it's freezing cold. If you didn't know, summer sports are very, very different. So I had to challenge myself mentally as well as physically. But I loved it. I loved the challenge. I loved moving better. I loved training differently. And it's really, really like inspired me to keep doing that as I keep moving forward.
So the thing about where you are now, we see you on Gladiators. The idea is that research has shown that makes people want to get into some gym gear, want to swing on certain obstacles and beat the hell out of somebody or whatever it happens to be.
Get a huge Q-tip and just walk around knocking people over things. That's what I want.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's what it's inspired me to do.
So what way does Gladiators work in getting people to move?
I think Gladiator expands all generations, which is one of the things that I love the most. You know, we have everyone from 2-year-olds doing our moves and feeling like superhuman, all the way up to, 90s, 100, people saying that they're really inspired to start moving, to start thinking differently about their health in a range of different things, but also just to think that, why can't I do it? And everyone's got a story, everyone's journey, their strength journey is very, very different. Mine's been very different, like I said, from summer to winter into Gladiators. Even that was a massive shift. So I think it's just inspiring people to think that they can do it, because we're all very different and we kind of touch on everyone's kind of, I think, inside of themselves. They want to keep pushing on in something they think they can't do.
Montel, what if I just hit upon that area about can't do? I'm in a position where I can't do a lot of things now. I regard watching Country File on a Sunday night as huge exercise for me. What if you just believe you can't do anything?
I'm really sad that you said that, Eamonn. You can do whatever you're... the thing is, as well, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're usually right. And I always say, try. I think many of us, the first time I climbed up of a wall doing Gladiators, I'm petrified of heights, and people know that. And you will never know that now, because I went on there and, I got frightened, I was brave, and then kept on doing it. And I think the hardest thing is to start. And what I hope is that, we're inspiring people to start something that they never thought, because you don't know until you try. And then also, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you just make that first move, you can get better. And then you'll feel braver when you do it.
Montel, let me ask you, what's it like, though, when you're doing Gladiators? Because, firstly, you're fire, aren't you? Did you choose the name? Someone else chooses the name for you? Or you are now? Because the thing is, you're pretty well known as a sports person. How does it feel having to change your name, and did you have to come up with it?
No, actually, which I'm glad I did it, because I'm very indecisive. And people ask that, why did you do Fire? And I said, well, I am actually, Fire. I can't imagine having a different name, especially because it was summer to winter. So I went from the ice, and I'm sassy, fierce. But very fair. So I think it fits very well that I'm unpredictable and speed is my game. So it fits very, very nicely.
I was given the name Whimper, and I'm still not really sure exactly why. Why is that? I'm not really sure why that was.
Well, you're never out of the gym. What name would we give you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Think of a nickname for me as well.
Oh, yeah, I can't
But
tell you
Fire
that
suits you because you are powerful and you can do it all. And you also on Strictly, last series of Strictly, weren't you? Did you find that was a breeze compared to the Olympics and compared to Gladiators, or was that a whole new challenge completely?
Oh, not a breeze at all. People are really shocked to hear how challenging the show is. And it really is. You know why? Because it's completely out of your comfort zone. Like, I'm great on the track in a straight line, but put me in a 3-inch hill and then told me to do a samba. It's a very different story. And you've only got like a few days, 4 days to master something. So the best part, I think, for me was just using my athlete mindset to say, actually, I know how to be judged. I know how to make myself better every week, but just put in the work. And it was very, very intense and very aerobic. I'm a power athlete, so some of the stuff is a lot more aerobic, breathing stuff, endurance, which wasn't my forte, but it definitely changed my mindset about what my body can do even now.
You know what, one more for you. You come over really nice, you're very friendly and lovely, whereas when it comes to the Gladiators, you've got to be cold and not very nice, and, and you do, because the thing is, to see some of the other competitors, and I'm sure you look at them and think, oh, lovely people, but you've got to keep this cold exterior. You like that when the cameras aren't on with them as well?
The cold exterior for Fire doesn't sit well.
Well, that's a good point, but I think you know what I'm saying.
I think definitely with me and my character, it's the same thing I am for life. I think I'm really fair. I'm very fierce, a bit sassy. I'll always give 100%. So I always say to everyone, when you come up against us, really give you 100%, because I've been in this a long time. I've been, like I said, I'm staying strong for life. So even now, I'm at my best. I'm peaking. So I'm always like, bring it on.
Well, thanks for peaking for us. We really appreciate it. And if you just had one word, one sentence, for people watching who are sort of interested in what you're saying, what would you do to give them that extra bit of encouragement?
I would say, though, especially like you, Eamonn, who said that you think you can't do something, I would always say try, because, like I said, we are all on our own strengths journey, our own mental well-being journey, and the moment you start something is the moment that you realise that you can do a lot more than you thought.
Maybe you could be my trainer, Montel.
There you go.
There you go, Montel.
That might motivate me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you. Whenever you're ready, we can definitely do that. 'Cause I want to encourage as many people to stay strong for life, for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoy watching you in Gladiators. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
you so much.
Montel.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, you see, if you
What
was
a star.
friendly, she's really friendly and everything. If you could just learn to smile like that.
Oh, please, I'm always smiling at you. I'll train with you. Come do Pilates with me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You could do that, couldn't you?
We could do that.
Yeah.
You'd enjoy that.
Oh.
See, it's Eamonn, as she says, as Fire says, it's always the start, and then once you get going.
Okay, let's get going into
Eamonn, ready!
the weather and find out what's going on and the traffic news as well.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M1 in Nottinghamshire, 2 out of 4 lanes are closed southbound just before junction 27 at Hutton, where a vehicle caught fire, causing queues from junction 28 at Mansfield. The M40 in Oxfordshire is closed each way between junctions 9 and 8A. Between Bicester and Oxford after an accident last night, there are queues back beyond junction 10 at Brackley. Also in Oxfordshire, the A34 is closed each way north of Abingdon for an investigation, causing long delays. And on the M25 in Hertfordshire, the inside lane's closed anti-clockwise just after junction 24 at Potter's Bar after an accident, causing queues about a mile back beyond junction 24. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now it's like Olympian corner over here, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, one Olympian out, another one in. And Coity's got this one for us, haven't you, Coity?
Oh, very excited about that. Georgia Hunter-Bell, bronze, the World Indoor Championships over in China just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, exactly. Is she still in China?
No, she's back. I believe she's back like this morning. So literally.
Right. And she's going to be talking to us in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox. Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coit is here with us. Morning.
Morning. You know, I love the athletics.
So don't we
always
all?
talk about athletics during the summer, during the winter.
Yeah.
And we were talking only last week about, well, actually, we talked about the European Championships, European indoors, and then they had the World Indoor Championships in China in Nanjing over the weekend. In the 1,500 metres, in the women's 1,500 metres, Georgia Hunter-Bell, we talked about her on Monday, has come back with a bronze medal, and she's only just come back and with us right now. Morning, Georgia.
Georgia, brilliant to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Les, it's great to see you, and many, many congratulations. When did you get back?
I got back yesterday. It was a long travel. Yeah, you're going through lots of different time zones, so I got about an hour's sleep the night after the race.
So you'd be no good out on the track today, I would have thought.
Do you get a rest?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'd be terrible. Yeah, I've got a rest week before it's back into hard training because it's the end of the season now.
Before we get to the race, what was is there a problem with jet lag? Because I imagine if you're flying east and then you're running, and does that affect you? You have to give yourself a lot more time. Because you didn't have that long when you were there before the race, did you?
Yeah, we didn't have that long. I mean, rest for an athlete is almost as important as the training. On a normal night, will probably sleep about 9 to 10 hours.
That's the bit I'm very good at, is the rest part. That's what makes me the athlete I am.
But, George, you talk about reaching the end of the season. Is there ever an end of a season if you are a professional athlete?
There is. We do have blocks of the year. We have the indoor season, which is just finished, and then the outdoor season, which finishes in September. So we'll be racing a lot over the summer, but there's about a week, 2 weeks a year that we can actually chill out before we get going again, which is nice.
Have you got time to reflect over what you've managed over the past year to 18 months? Because it really has been a fantastic time for you, especially with the Olympics during the summer.
Yeah, definitely. My life has changed a lot. You know, this time last year, I was still working full time and trying to juggle elite training around 9 to 5. And now I'm a full-time professional athlete and can just focus on training, camps, recovering, all that stuff. So life has changed a lot, but I'm just enjoying it so much.
See, how did you manage to do that? This is the thing that I find amazing when you've got great athletes, you know, you're representing your country, you're going to the Olympics. We look at any other sport, they are dedicated to it and they get paid a lot of money for it. And it's just real hard work and love and dedication, isn't it? So how could you fit it all in?
I mean, looking back, it's kind of tough to see how I did it. I think when you're in it, you're just so used to that kind of crazy schedule of waking up at 6 a.m. to do a couple of hours training before you're at your desk at 9, and then training in the dark in the evenings. Wow. Lots of athletes do it. I mean, the Olympics, because it was originally an amateur sport, there are a lot of athletes who are having full-time jobs, but I think increasingly there's more opportunities in track and field that are opening up,
sure.
which allows us to
Georgia, I'm a very nosy person. I mean, you mentioned, you know, how you were in a full-time job. Could I ask you what you were doing?
Yeah, I was working in software sales, so in tech. Yeah, so it wasn't an easy job either. It's one of those jobs where, you know, it's sales. So if you're not hitting your quota, you can always lose your job. So it was just very high stress environments. But I think that has helped me with running as well. You know, it's very competitive. It's very high pressure.
I know,
yeah.
but looking at you, listening to you here, talking to you today, and you've got a beautiful personality. You're lovely, you're relaxed, you're smiling all the time because, you know, you're not sitting saying, oh, I've got to get up and speak to these 3 Egypts this morning. So you obviously are enjoying, and you look back to when you were in full-time employment and now you're doing this, and, you know, you're earning a living doing this, which is absolutely incredible. And I always remember, believe it or not, track and field. Paul was saying how when he was young he loved track and field. I was the same. And the thing that I used to get, Georgia, was when your body moved, when it moved, there's something that happens to you, that you reach a speed of equilibrium or something, and then your legs actually move.
They take over, don't they?
They take over. They're faster than your body doing this. And it's an amazing experience that I don't think I've ever had again in life.
He was a 1,500 metre runner as well Georgia.
1,500 metres.
That's where the similarities end.
No, it is. I mean, you're right. I think because I was working full time, I think it's given me a good sense of perspective. I'm just very grateful that I get to do this as my job. You know, it's not something that I started off. I graduated from college and went straight into it. I've gone on a bit of an unconventional route. So yeah, I'm just very happy. And you're right, running is just, it just makes you feel good. Don't get me wrong, the training is really tough, but you know, there's no better way to clear your mind than just going for a run.
I need to ask you this. A thing which was always difficult, it always happened to me, and you just sort of had to run through it, and that was stitches. Stitches. Yeah. How do you deal with stitches, or do you get to a stage where you're trained so finely the way you are that you don't get stitches anymore?
Stitch. Did you? Never got stitch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're going on a long run, there's a much higher chance that you'll get a stitch. You just got to make sure that you eat enough in advance, and so you're digested to avoid that. Luckily for me, my race with the 1,500 metres is less than 4 minutes long, so you don't really have too much time to think about that kind of pain. But yeah, it can definitely happen on a long run.
Quick one, because I know Ellie's got to ask, something she's got to ask you. But, but when it comes to the racing and also the Olympics, the bronze medal there in the Worlds, what is the feeling like? Can you explain that to me when you're getting the medal? I often hear from people it's more of a relief than a joy, or is the great moment when you have the medal in your hand, when you're running the race, when you see the tape in front of you? What is it for you that truly encapsulates what you do and how much you love it?
I think it's a very unique point in life. Like, we're all so distracted all the time. We've got screens everywhere. We're being pulled in so many different directions. But when you go and race on the track, it's just a very unique time of your mind being really pushed, but also your body physically being pushed, and just seeing where your limits are. You're very present in that moment. So I love the bit where you walk out into the stadium. It's just pure adrenaline, and you have that excitement for something going to happen. But I think, and then in the race, you're really pushing yourself, seeing where your limits are. Like, I often liken it to, it's like putting your hand on a stove and just holding it there. It's painful, but you're just seeing what you can do. And then obviously when you cross the line and you achieve something great, particularly with the Olympics last year, just kind of having that moment when you cross the line and realise your childhood dreams come true. Wow. You've got a medal, and, you know, I was able to run the British record as well. So there were just so many feelings of just hard work coming together. It's just really special. So I think a mixture of all of it.
Well, Georgia, it has been the most incredible year for you, hasn't it? Professionally and personally, because you got married in October, didn't you? And your wedding, massive congratulations to you. And your wedding has been the talk of the newsroom this morning, because you had, and we can see it on the screen now, the most incredible wedding dress. And it just looked like the most beautiful English country wedding.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, that was a gorgeous day. We got really lucky. It was October, but it was absolutely gorgeous blue skies. It was about 17 degrees. The dress, it's the Sassy Holford bridal dress. I got it, it's actually a pre-loved one. So I am also reselling it as well, because I just think they're gorgeously kept. And yeah, it was so fun to wear a dress like that and get out of the Lycra for a day.
And I bet you ran that morning, didn't you? Did you run that morning, Georgia?
I actually didn't. I was planning to, because, yeah, I think it's just, I was planning to because it would settle the nerves and keep you relaxed, but the day started with pouring rain, so I didn't want to risk any extra work on the hair.
Yeah, or an injury, Georgia, that would be the worst.
Or an injury, yeah.
It's been a delight talking to you.
Really has.
The
You're a star.
amount of people that know you. I mean, our producer here, she says she went to the same school as you did. And
oh, wow.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, just everybody everywhere. It's lovely. It's a joy to talk to you. Your smile is infectious. And have a nice end of season, whatever you're going to do, whatever you've got planned, okay?
See you in the summer.
Relax and enjoy now, Georgia.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Oh, what a lovely morning.
Georgia Hunter-Bell.
Yeah.
What an
Star.
athlete, lovely girl as well.
Yeah.
Get
Best
her
to
for
British.
podcast.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
She'd be good to talk to. Okay.
Yeah.
Go training with her.
Right.
Thanks, Coity.
We've got, oh goodness, look at the time it is as
I
well.
know.
Freddie Gray, Anna Firth, got it down with the papers after the travel. What have we got? This is where the sun is around Europe, okay?
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst some western parts of Europe are having something a little bit drier than they've seen through recent days, further east it's a very unsettled picture. We have heavy rain across parts of Italy, Greece for example. Totals could build up to around 150 millimetres over the Italian mountains, with some intense thunderstorms mixed in as well. Meanwhile, further west, a drier picture, albeit some rain pushing its way into Madeira as we go through tomorrow. Otherwise, like I said, western parts having the best of the dry, sunny weather.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, like yourself, I'm an Oldham boy, so I remember as a kid the holidays in Blackpool were just incredible. And I think, what we did with this survey was trying to understand where people said they wanted to go, but I think the key bit was why. So we wanted to understand what was important about the UK holiday, and also just understand a little bit about, attitudes to travelling abroad and the UK. And I think for me, 61% of people said the reason they need a holiday is family time. So for me, to be honest, whether that's in Cornwall, whether it's Essex, Lancashire, it doesn't matter. What really matters is that time together, isn't it, with your family, your loved ones, that I think we all need more and more in a nutty world in which we live at the moment. So, it's what you're doing on holiday as well as where you're going.
Andy, how can we find a good deal out of this? What are some tips and tricks for keeping the spending under control if you're looking for especially if you're going to Cornwall, for example? I'd imagine if you're looking in July or August, it's going to be pretty expensive, right?
My advice would be, research really carefully where you want to go. Think about what the location can offer, and we've got a range of holiday parks. You know what the holiday park can offer to you, and just try and plan early. I think it just takes that pressure away from later on. Everyone's on to a degree of budget these days, but again, I think it's that time together that people will be willing to pay for.
Of course, part of the research as well, Andy, was to do with the economy. 62% of people you asked said that Brits feel we should be going on staycations in order to support our economy. Just how important is that?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's, the British tourism economy is worth many, many billions per annum, employs, hundreds of thousands of people in tourism.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now we bring you the front pages of the papers on this Tuesday morning. Daily Mail, there's a solar panel row there. They're saying that the government will install solar panels in schools despite slave labour concerns.
In the latest free speech round, the businessman Charlie Mullins, criticism that Sadiq Khan could lose him his OBE. That's according to The Telegraph.
Meghan Markle. Meghan makes moves. Here's the Sun accuses the Duchess of making a quick buck as she releases a new clothing line, including a £1,000 Windsor dress.
And Titch's wisteria hysteria, says the Daily Star, as Telly Gardner, Alan Titchmarsh, lashes out at the ITV crime drama Grantchester live on air.
You see, what Alan, just to explain to our paper reviewers, we've got... who have we got?
Got Freddie Gray and Anna Firth with us today.
Freddie, I went blank on your name.
Don't worry at all.
But wisteria, it's amazing what Alan's saying in Grantchester. He's saying that this is not real. There's wisteria in the front of houses and it's not real. It wouldn't annoy me personally, but...
Well, it's a bit like having turf lawn.
Yeah.
Because we had a creepy thing. It wasn't a wisteria. It wasn't
a creepy thing.
A creepy thing.
Ivy, do you mean?
House. Yeah, but then it got in between the bricks. It damaged the, and so we actually had to get.
Probably was ivy.
But you see, you talk about that astroturf thing, right? And I've had a row about this throughout my whole life. That my instinct says, I mean, like I love nice things. I love the smell of freshly cut grass and whatever it is. But there's no hassle, no trouble.
Well, and with children playing football.
Yes.
It doesn't wreck everything.
No.
There's a lot to be said for it, although my wife would never allow it because she's a big eco person. She says it's terrible for the environment.
I've also heard that it's not very good if you've got a doggy because the pee-pee doesn't get,
Well,
doesn't seep into the ground. I didn't know that.
Gosh.
You can't
scoop it up.
Yeah,
so actually, we want to be playing on that AstroTurf in a family that's
because it doesn't go anywhere. You've got to think.
But then every 10 days when someone says, cut the grass... Yeah. I wish I'd AstroTurf. That's what you think.
We just went with paving.
It looks...
That's the best idea of all.
Right, well, let's get into the stories here. What have you...
I was wondering if we were on air then.
Oh, we are. No, we're just... I don't know how we started talking about AstroTurf, but yes, we are on air now. Should we look at the Telegraph, the front page? Rachel Reeves trying to buy off benefit rebels with £2 billion for housing. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, this is absolutely desperation. Last chance saloon tactics, isn't it, from Rachel from accounts, who knows that her days are numbered because she's completely crashed the economy. She's destroyed business confidence.
But what I would want to know if I was a backbencher, I'd want to know who are these houses going to?
Exactly, Eamonn, because we know since last July we've had 25,000 people come across in small boats. Highest numbers ever. We know only 4% of those have actually been deported. That's 1,000. So 24,000 people have come. This is going to build only 18,000 affordable homes. Do the maths. It's obvious, isn't it, that those 25,000, a good portion of those are going to find their way into these 18,000 homes, which means actually British people who need these homes are going without.
They're going to bring down the bill for migrant hotels by giving illegal migrants affordable housing. I think that seems almost inevitable. They will try and probably deny it tomorrow and try and come up with some scheme, but that clearly is the thinking.
Well, I think
it's not popular thinking. I mean, we get a lot of reaction here.
Well, this government seems to be determined to do very unpopular things.
And I think it's not just thinking. I think this is actually in a Treasury document that has actually been revealed. That part of the push here is to get people out of hotels, which we know are costing us, the taxpayer, an absolute fortune, but give affordable housing, which is also our taxpayers' money, to these people.
So we move nowhere in terms of housing people who need to be housed because they're just being taken up by the migrant numbers then?
Because the numbers are so much bigger. We know we had 45,000 who came last year on small boats. That's just the small boats number, of course. We've also got other people coming in other ways. And 18,000 homes is going to go nowhere. We need those homes for British people who are working hard day in and day out.
It's also quite alarming, as we were saying earlier, that $2 billion only gets you 18,000 homes.
Yeah.
But that does work out about 100,000 a home. But that's just to build a council house or a social house.
Well, that's the scale of the problem, isn't it?
That is the scale of the problem.
The money that we're going to need.
But this from Rachel Reeves now, the timing of this is to try and buy off the backbenchers in her own party who are furious that she is cutting welfare, cutting the PIP payments, which actually are going to those payments are going to the most vulnerable disabled people in the country. So she's trying to buy off the rebels in her own party. But her basic problem is that she's crashed the economy, and that's why she's having to bring forward this emergency budget tomorrow.
Now, Freddie Gray's got a beautiful speaking voice, but we could make you even more attractive, Freddie. How could we do that?
By making me a gender-neutral raccoon? Is that where we're going with this?
Researchers find that a clearer sign.
Oh, sorry, sorry. It was a very obvious setup, and I missed it.
Gender-neutral raccoon.
I was going with the gender-neutral raccoon, but we'll get on to the gender-neutral. Hopefully, we will.
I'm actually really interested in this because I do think.
What, the microphones or the gender-neutral raccoon?
No, the microphones, because I do think your voice changes.
Let's talk about this because this is good. This is about a study that has found that people find you far less attractive, far less employable, dateable, etc., if they hear you on a Zoom call. And I think everybody who has had a Zoom meeting knows deep down that this is the case.
Yeah.
They are dysfunctional. People don't like listening to people on Zoom meetings. Obviously, face-to-face interaction is better. There's now some science to prove it. And it's interesting that they looked at dating as well as, whether you're credible as a business person or something like that. Zoom microphones are not good for you if you want to project yourself.
Apparently, you come across as more intelligent and more attractive in person than you would do online.
Well, I hope that's true. I certainly think that's true for this panel.
Well, we definitely like having you here in person. Freddie, do you want to explain gender-neutral raccoons in about 10 seconds?
Gender-neutral, right, this lovely story. There is a gender-neutral raccoon called Wren. The BBC have denied that he's gender-neutral, but his pronouns are there. Rather than he or him.
Oh, guys, appreciate your contributions today. Lovely seeing you. See you again soon. Here's the weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have three zones of weather at the moment. There's a chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have a lot of dry and clear weather. Any cloud and rain in the south will clear away relatively quickly. And with high pressure in charge, we have generally light winds. So light winds, clear skies, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a dip. So I'm expecting it to turn a bit chilly. There could be a touch of frost in some places. Also, watch out for some fog developing. That could be quite dense, particularly across some eastern parts. Could cause some problems on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. Once any fog does clear away, though, actually, for many of us, tomorrow is going to be a fine day. Plenty of dry and sunny weather on offer, although towards the far north-northwest of Scotland, a bit more cloud and some rain pushing its way in later. With the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at temperatures peaking around 17, 18, possibly 19 Celsius. See you again soon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M1 in Nottinghamshire, 2 out of 4 lanes are closed southbound just before junction 27 at Hucknall after a vehicle caught fire, with queues from junction 28 at Mansfield. On the M1 in Northamptonshire, 2 lanes are closed southbound just after junction 17 for the M45, where someone's broken down, with queues from junction 18 at Rugby. The M40 in Oxford is closed each way between junctions 9 and 8A between Bicester and Oxford after an accident last night, with queues back beyond junction 10 at Brackley. And on the M27 in Hampshire, there's a lane closed westbound for emergency repairs at junction 5, the turn for Southampton Airport, causing delays.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. 1 entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Home Office drops the country's largest asylum hotel provider.
As concerns emerge over the company's performance.
But with more migrants crossing in the first 3 months of this year than ever before, just where will the government house them?
State pension fury as rumours grow that the triple lock could be axed, but it hasn't stopped the government announcing a £2 billion housing investment.
Trump's top team takes the swipe at Europe, dubbing them freeloaders in leaked messages.
Time to act. The Conservatives renew their campaign for a national inquiry into rape gangs.
We owe it to those victims and to their families to say that we're prepared courageously as a political class to confront some of those issues.
What went wrong for Blue Peter? The BBC Axis live episodes as the programme moves online after 66 years.
Former Blue Peter presenter Tim Vincent live in the studio to remember the show's heydays.
Whilst it is going to turn quite cloudy with a bit of rain for quite a few of us through today, there's more spring sunshine on offer as we go through tomorrow. I'll have the details coming up.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
We're starting this half hour. We're delighted to welcome the Minister for Housing, Communities and Local Government. Good morning, Matthew Pennycook.
Good morning, Eamonn.
Hi, Minister. Obviously, you're very topical at the moment with this announcement that's going to be made about housing and what's going to happen. I put it to you that there was a lot of relief. People think, great, we're going to do all this social housing, we're going to increase this building, this is fantastic. And then yesterday, this rumour started to do the rounds that the housing would be put there to reduce the migrant numbers. Can you confirm or deny?
Well, I hope we can get on to speak about the precise announcement we've made today, but to that specific question, no, priority for social housing goes to those most in need. Refugees are not prioritised for social housing. Obviously, if someone's visa status means they don't qualify for state benefits or local authority housing assistance, they won't qualify for a social housing allocation. And those migrants who come over on work visas, for example, and particularly obviously those who aren't legally allowed to be in this country, they don't qualify for social homes. So it is important that we are building social homes because they go to the most people in need. And the £2 billion in new funding we've announced today, capital funding in bricks and mortar, will ensure that we get up to 18,000 new social and affordable homes through. And that's part of honouring our commitment to deliver the biggest increase in social and affordable house building in a generation. Absolutely central to meeting our commitment over this Parliament to build 1.5 million new homes.
Well, that's going to give a lot of people a lot of relief, because I can honestly tell you our inbox here practically exploded in terms of concern for that. So thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. We've had an announcement this morning from the Home Office that it's no longer working with the main provider of migrant hotels in this country, dropped the country's largest asylum hotel provider, which is Stay Belvedere Hotels. Why have you done this?
Well, you will know, and we've discussed it, I know, many times in the past, that we inherited a real mess when it came to our asylum and immigration system. We've got to restore order to that system. As part of that, we have taken the decision to review all asylum accommodation contracts, and in the specific case of this provider, decided to terminate their contract from September 2026. That's the earliest date that that's possible, because of specific concerns about their performance and their behaviour. And I'm not going to go into the details of what that involves, if you'll forgive me. It's for Home Office ministers to come forward with the details of that audit. But we've taken that action because we want to ensure that we are better managing asylum accommodation to get value for money for taxpayers.
And what will happen to the people currently being housed by Stay Belvedere Hotels?
Well, work is underway in the Home Office to ensure that the services carry on through the transition. My understanding is that other providers will step in and take over the management of those hotels. But there's part of a wider problem, which I'm sure you'll appreciate. We're dealing with this specific challenge to which there is no overnight fix, because the processing of asylum claims under the previous government almost entirely ceased. Decision-making on asylum claims dropped by 70%. So we were handed this problem. We have stepped up the processing of asylum claims, and we are steadily bringing down the number of hotels. You know, it was 400 at its peak under the Tories. It's now 200. We're closing more as we speak, but there really is no overnight fix to the scale of the problem we inherited.
Well, meanwhile, we've got record numbers of people crossing the Channel, up 36% on this time last year. Wasn't this a government that promised to smash the gangs?
Yeah, and we are taking decisive action to do so. For example, we're passing the Border Security and Asylum Bill. That will give police and enforcement bodies counter-terrorism-style powers to deal with this problem, as well as new criminal offences. So again, there's no overnight fix to this problem. It's a real challenge. It's a complex one. I know you appreciate that. But we are taking decisive steps to turn things around. And as is the case on our 1.5 million new homes target, I'd say to your viewers, judge us by our record at the end of the Parliament. We've already taken steps to turn things around, and those steps will have a benefit in the months and years ahead that will be able, your viewers will be able to see.
I totally accept it'd be very rare to get overnight fixes, but there are fixes to be had. Is one of those amending the triple lock system on pensions?
No, we're committed to the triple lock, and that triple lock will mean that those on the state pension will see up to £1,900 in their pockets over the course of this Parliament. And it's not the only action taken. We could go into what we're doing, what we did in the budget on the minimum wage, on the national living wage, a real boost to people's pay in their pockets. But we are absolutely committed to maintaining the triple lock.
What do you make of the comments by Pete Hegseth and JD Vance over in the US? This Signal group chat that has been leaked after a US journalist was accidentally invited into it, talking about Europe, describing them as pathetic freeloaders. JD Vance saying he hates bailing Europe out. What do you make of that kind of rhetoric from the US and Trump's top team?
Well, the specific incident is obviously a matter for the US administration, and I'm not going to get into commenting on every news story that comes across the Atlantic every morning. But on the specific issues of Europe's defence, we know that we have to step up and do more to provide for our own collective security. That is precisely why the Prime Minister announced the biggest increase in defence spending since the Cold War just a few weeks ago. And NATO countries are stepping up, and the continent as a whole, I think, recognises that it has to do more to meet that threat in the years ahead.
OK, we'll leave it there. Matthew, thanks for your time this morning. Busy time for you, so we appreciate there. Matthew is the Housing Minister.
Much appreciated.
So thank you for your comments on that. Leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, joining us now is GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White, who's in Dover for us this morning. Morning to you, Mark. And big news this morning, the Home Office has announced it's no longer working with the main provider of migrant hotels.
Yes, indeed. This is Stay Belvedere Hotels Limited, who were awarded a contract back in 2019 by the previous Conservative government, a £2 billion contract to run. Currently, they run 51 hotels, along with the Napier Barracks Accommodation Centre for asylum seekers as well. Now, we don't know exactly what the issues were, but apparently a Home Office audit has highlighted unspecified issues with the operation of Stay Belvedere Hotels Limited. So, given that, the Home Office has decided at the next opportunity, which is in 2026, to take a break from that contract. So, in other words, ending that contract with this hotel chain. What they will do in the meantime is look for other providers to step in and provide that hotel accommodation. They also, of course, use dispersal accommodation. What dispersal accommodation effectively means is that local authorities are tasked with finding housing stock in their area. So that can be bed sits, it can be, rented flats, council housing stock and the like. It was interesting listening to the Minister saying that none of the new social housing that is going to be built will go to any of these migrants coming across. But the fact is, we know that local authorities do disperse some of the asylum seekers into their council house, effectively social housing stock. So it is an issue, and it's a growing issue, because every day we see more people coming across the channel, adding to that issue that the government has to grapple with in finding where exactly they are going to accommodate these people. And today, again, we've seen 2 small boats. One has already arrived here at Dover with 65 people on board. Another has just entered UK waters and should be here within the hour.
Leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Same old scenes that we're seeing there. The time, 10 minutes past 9. Thank you for your company this morning. And we will have former Blue Peter presenter Tim Vincent live in the studio very shortly. Here's the Great British Giveaway.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines closed close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, tomorrow on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're talking telly now, and it's been described as the end of an era because what's happened is Blue Peter is being moved. It's being moved to streaming situation.
Yeah, it's moving online. After 66 years, with us in the studio is presenter of Blue Peter from 1993 to 1997, Tim Vincent Newby. Very good to see you this morning, Tim. This is the end of an era, isn't it? I feel sad about this.
It is an end of it, but it's not surprising. It's very sad, but I don't think anybody's particularly surprised. Blue Peter is just probably the latest high-profile show that's getting, axed.
But is it getting that? I mean, it's still going to be there. You don't describe shows on Apple TV or Netflix or whatever as being axed. Is it just... just tell me where the kids are going or what do they watch?
I think it's like... Well, I just think the magic of Blue Peter was the fact that it's live. It wasn't breaking news, but there was always an issue of something potentially going wrong.
Like or there was a pooing on the studio.
Exactly. There's an element of drama associated to that show, and as soon as it's pre-recorded, then it loses that. And even when we did the show, we used to pre-record some of the shows, but mainly it was live just to give that atmosphere to it. So I think it's being rested is probably the best way.
There may be younger people watching this and think, what are they talking about? This show, and any of us that have been in here the past couple of days, we've looked and we watched, even though we're different ages and different stages in our life, and it would have influenced our lives, and indeed, for many of us, the careers that we ended up taking. Was it life-changing for you to present?
Hugely. It was probably my first proper presenting job. I deferred my entry to university and got Blue Peter in that time, and I was there 3 years, and it gave me that training. What was funny, we were talking off air, is when I moved to the States and worked for NBC, we would every single day, Monday to Friday, from 30 Rock, do our live links for Access Hollywood, the show that I work on. And every single day you'd have the lights and the camera guys and everybody out there, and you'd be linking, and you'd have stars like Will Ferrell or Rob, whoever it happened to be for whatever show they were promoting there. And the Brits, all the tourists in New York, would come round, and they'd come round to see what was filming and then start saying about Blue Peter. And all the Americans would go, what is Blue Peter? You know, and there's a connotation, blue, and Peter is a reference to a certain part of your anatomy. And they would go, this is a kid's show and it's called Blue Peter. But because every single day Brits would come up and talk about Blue Peter, you try and explain what it was, and they say, well, it's like Sesame Street, it's a kid's show. I said, no, it's much more than that. And even when we did it, half of the audience were adults that watched it, and that's what we're going to miss.
It is a British institution.
It very much is,
There's
yeah.
nothing else like it, even now.
I think everybody's going to be a little bit sad this week, because it means a little bit of our childhood, our earlier lives have died and gone to rest. Hopefully it will have something. I hope the BBC realise that they have a brand, that there is an actual brand name there, that any good TV show like this or any other show, if it survives on good editorial content, will survive. And there's no reason why Blue Peter doesn't continue. I think what's been quite funny, if you look at the newspapers and you read some of the reviews of why it's finished, it was cosy, it was boring, it was safe, it was white, it was middle class. It was any of those. It wasn't any of those things when we did the show.
It was groundbreaking, but also I remember it informed, it educated, it entertained.
Yeah,
did all those things. So I think what has changed is the audience has changed, and I don't know. I have no idea what kids watch today or how they're.
Listen, I've got 6-year-old twins, Jasper and Felix, and we have YouTube on, or children's YouTube on. There are those type of shows out there. You've just got to market it in the right way and make sure it's edited in the correct way. A good show's a good show, and children are a litmus test to a good show. If they're bored, they will turn off like that. And Blue Peter managed to survive 70 decades. And that means it's reinvented itself countless times over the years to survive. The Blue Peter that's just come off air now is not exactly the same as the one that was on 58, 60 years ago. It's a completely different show.
Who did you present with?
I replaced John Leslie. I worked with Anthea, Diane, Katie.
Anthea, she sent her regard.
Yes.
She also sent me a message, which I don't really want to tell you, because I think to myself, does this mean something that I don't understand? And I'm not going to say it on air. But anyway, she's only in St Lucia.
Oh, is she really? Well, you could have done a Zoom call from there. Yeah.
What was your favourite bit of being part of the show? Was it the arts and crafts or the travels you got to go on? People you got to interview?
The principle of Blue Peter was the fact that you were the extended nation's family. So you would go, if you were going to run for a marathon or train for a marathon, you would see me training for a marathon. Or the dog was the children's dog for the families that couldn't have a dog. Your summer expedition was a summer holiday that the audience not necessarily went on. And there happened to be a week when I broke the sound barrier in a tornado jet doing 850 miles an hour, throwing up over the coastline. I also met the Queen, but I also did a make item, and those were the most frightening bits to do of the whole show. Anything else was fine.
But you see, just coincidentally, 2 weeks ago, I was watching you on a celebrity auction programme. I couldn't even tell you what channel it was on. Anyway, it was thousands of channels out there. And I saw you on, and I started watching it, and it was... And the things I learnt about you, that you have a farmhouse in Wales.
I have.
That, oh my God, it needs renovated. Of course it does. What are you going to do? Are you going to become a farmer, or what's happening?
Well, all my farmer friends tell me off and say it isn't a farm because it's only a few acres. It's a small holding, so I have to correct that straight away. It's in Wrexham, which most people would know because of Ryan Reynolds has bought the football team, but Wrexham is a beautiful county as well. I'm from there. The plan is not to make it a working farm. There are sheep on a few of the fields at the moment. The plan is, and it actually started last Monday, to convert the barns, and we're going to have... You can come and stay. All of you can come and stay in a few weeks' time.
Broadcast from the garden.
You can, from one of the acres in the bottom field. So it's going to be a holiday let, and keep a little house for myself there. But I am here, mainly here, because I have very young children as well.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing, though, the things that, people see, they see you on TV and they think, well, you're guaranteed a job for life on TV. Whereas, for instance, you're an example of someone who has to think about how you pay the bills.
Yeah.
So you'll still be a TV presenter, of course. But that depends if the work's available.
Do you know what? The costs of building and renovating a farm are so much that I'm going to start my OnlyFans account. I'm going to start with my feet, and depending how much sewage tanks and septic tanks and we're going to work up.
You don't have to show your face.
We're going to go north, depending on how much it costs. But yeah, so I think, listen, somebody described me once as a Swiss Army knife of presenters, and I quite like that moniker. I still do stuff for the States and various other places.
Well, keep on doing it, my
friend. Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure reminiscing with
my pleasure. Come and stay.
I was just wondering, Beverly, your kids, would Blue Peter feature in their lives, or is it gone, or...?
It's so nice to see Tim. I've known Tim for 25 years because we both started in telly about the same sort of time. And I was just sitting there thinking, why doesn't it appeal? Children bespoke their own media consumption now. That's the thing. Whatever that one individual wants to watch, they can find it on YouTube. Whereas Blue Peter, therefore, can't satisfy all the different interests that the children would have. So a magazine show, you'd have to sometimes maybe sit through the bit that you didn't particularly enjoy, and you'd stay with it for the next bit.
But that's why it should work.
Watch that.
Because they should do segments on Instagram or TikTok of little bits that they could use of the Blue Peter brand.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're completely right.
Clever with it, won't they?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Andrew, what have you got coming up?
I was a great Blue Peter fan myself, actually, as a child. But I'm so old. I used to watch Valerie Singleton, John Nicks and Peter Purvis in... What was the dog called? Petra?
Petra.
Yeah. And I do remember the elephant.
Yeah.
But what have we got?
We're not talking about that.
What have we got on the show today? We've got Mark White down in Dover this morning, record number of migrants. We've got the bin issue, the bin strike in Birmingham. We want to hear from people being affected by that.
Apparently
Awful
the
pictures.
heaps of rubbish are moving.
Yeah.
And as the weather gets warmer...
It's the rats.
It's going to be...
And some of the rats have been killed by motorists driving because they're in the streets.
These bin operatives...
they cut their pay.
So few of them.
I know, and they cut their pay.
Yes.
And made their conditions...
Like 7 or 8 grand.
I know, and they've brought in agency workers to man the bins, which will cost even more money.
Street lights or something, see the same amount of money.
They should just get a grip.
Yeah.
Is this This is our second city. It's shaming.
Yeah, it is.
Apparently, film crews are flying in from around the world to see it. How
Gotta
terrible.
go, my friend. You two have a good show. Ellie and I'll be back tomorrow morning from 6. Have a good day.
Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. We are going to see some decent warm sunshine as we go through today, but also a bit of rain and some thick cloud in a few places too. We kind of have 3 zones of weather at the moment. The chilly start across southern areas. There's also a bit of fog in a few places too, but a lot of bright weather for the time being. But across central areas, a lot more cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and all of that is feeding its way southwards. Further north, we have a lot of fine sunny weather on offer, and here we're going to see temperatures rising mid-teens, and so feeling pretty warm indeed in the sunshine. Further south, similar temperatures, but obviously with that cloud not feeling as warm. Now, as we go through this evening, we are going to see the cloud and the outbreaks of rain, which don't look particularly heavy, gradually shifting away towards the southeast. So yes, a bit of a damp end to the day across southern counties, but that cloud and rain will be clearing away. Further north, we have clearer skies as we go through this evening and the start of the night, albeit a bit more cloud perhaps towards the far north of Scotland and around Shetland, maybe Orkney as well. There could be a few outbreaks of rain. Now, overnight, we are going to have